Chapter 845. Let them come. Are you afraid of them? Shisheng shrugged nonchalantly. At worst, we'll just die together. Pei Jin was speechless. Girl, you're so open-minded. They're all struggling to survive in this world. You said that at worst, we'll just die together. Then why are you still alive? Shisheng rolled his eyes, looking arrogant. They might not be able to kill me. We don't know who will die in the end. Pei Jin was still speechless. Thinking about how strong this girl was, Pei Jin suddenly believed that she might really be able to survive. What are the weaknesses of those things? Shisheng looked away and asked Pei Jin. Pei Jin shook his head. I'm not sure. These things had only been out for a few days. Once touched, death was certain. No one had found a way to deal with them yet. There must be a weakness, Shisheng said faintly as he stared at the mushrooms below. Whether it was people or plants, they all had weaknesses. Shisheng jumped down from the window. Miss you. Pei Jin was shocked. He rushed to the window and looked down, but he didn't see anyone. Brother Pei up there. Meow Meow pointed to the sky. Pei Jin looked in the direction Meow Meow was pointing. A petite girl stood on a long sword, looking domineering. Of course, if you ignored the black card in her hand, she would be even more domineering. She seemed to have more cards. Plants were afraid of fire. Shisheng tried out fire-related skills first. However, the things below didn't seem to be afraid of fire. When they were burned, they only looked a little ugly, but they were still jumping around happily. They weren't afraid of fire. What about water? No. What about earth? No. Shisheng tried out all the skill cards. The mushrooms below weren't afraid of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. So, these things were invincible? Of course, they could be cut open, but the attack range was so small that before you could finish, the enemy would have already killed you. While Shisheng was experimenting, the mushrooms below started to stack up. They stacked on top of each other, and soon formed a circular pillar. The pillar shook as the mushrooms jumped up. What were these little mushrooms trying to do? They soon reached the same height as the Shisheng. A few mushrooms bounced on the top of the Shisheng and suddenly shot towards the Shisheng. Shisheng. Holy shit. Shisheng hurriedly flew up with his sword to avoid the self-made mushroom cannonballs. He flew over from the back and broke the mushroom pillar. A group of mushrooms fell down like scattered flowers. That scene was still quite shocking. What is she doing? The people behind Pei Jin were a little bolder at this time, and they all gathered around the window to look outside. Her sword can actually fly. What kind of special skill is that? Why didn't I draw such a black card? She has so many black cards. These voices were intertwined and transmitted to Shisheng. She raised her head and glanced at them. Suddenly, she came over with her sword and said angrily, "Why are you looking at me? Do you want to die?" Everyone immediately retreated into the room and cursed in their hearts. What's wrong with taking a look? Thinking about how the young man had died, they could only silently complain in their hearts, not daring to show the slightest bit of resistance on the surface. How could a woman who could cause such a big scene be easy to bully? The onlookers retreated. Shisheng took out a few energy balls and prepared to throw them down. Out of the corner of his eye, he glanced down and saw that the mushrooms, which had been bouncing happily just a moment ago, had begun to retreat. They looked a little panicked and jumped up one by one. The scene was very amusing. What's wrong with them? Pei Jin looked at Shisheng in confusion. How would I know? I hadn't thrown the ball yet. It definitely wasn't because of her. Someone's coming. Meow Meow pointed at a vaguely visible street. Someone's coming. Shisheng looked in the direction Meow Meow was pointing. The mushrooms there were the fastest jumping. The first thing Shisheng saw was a girl. As she walked, she sprinkled some white powder in her hand. The powder landed on the side of the road, and the mushrooms retreated as if they were afraid. Female lead, you're finally online. There were a few people behind Aimi, who should be her companions. What's that? How could it make these things so afraid? Pei Jin looked at the approaching people in surprise. Aimi quickly walked to where they were. She first sprinkled the powder around to create an open space. Her eyes swept over Shisheng, who was sitting on the iron sword, and sized him up curiously. Aimi was 1.6 meters tall. Her clothes were a little loose, which made her look bloated. She carried a black backpack on her back. She looked cold, capable, and steady. What's wrong with her? The person beside Aimi stepped forward and pointed at Shisheng. She could fly in the sky with a sword. They had never encountered such a thing. Aimi shook her head and signaled the person not to cause trouble. She quickly said, "It's getting dark. Let's find a place to rest. If they don't cause trouble, we'll stay out of it." The person thought for a moment and nodded slightly. He quickly looked around and pointed at a building next to them. "That should be fine." Aimi glanced at it and whispered to the person behind her. She led them into the building next to it. "Wait a minute." Pei Jin was suddenly pushed aside. A woman rushed to the window and yelled at Aimi. "What's that in your hand? Why are these things so scared?" Aimi probably didn't intend to pay attention to this woman. She just glanced at her and continued to walk. Seeing that there were no mushrooms below, the woman grabbed the rope that Shisheng had used to climb down. She rushed to Aimi and said, "Leave the thing." Their survival instincts made many people follow the woman down and surround Aimi and the others. "Leave the thing, or don't blame us for being rude." Aimi's party was not convinced and yelled back angrily. "Why should we leave just because you asked us to? We have more people than you. In the end, you'll be the one at a disadvantage. Leave the thing, and we'll let you live." Bah. The two sides quarreled after a few words. In the end, they directly started to fight. Pei Jin was watching intently. He turned his head and found that the person who was floating in the air just now had disappeared. He quickly glanced down and found Shisheng at the edge of the battle circle. When he saw what Shisheng was doing, Pei Jin felt that his whole world had been shocked. How can there be such a bad person? They were fighting in the front, but she was secretly destroying the white powder behind them. When the powder disappeared, the fearful mushrooms immediately poured in through the gap. Shisheng destroyed a part of the powder, and immediately stepped on the iron sword to return to the world. The mushrooms below almost bit her. Some mushrooms were unwilling to give up and jumped in place for a while. When they smelled food on the other side, they immediately gave up on Shisheng and rushed over. Ah! Why are they coming over? Chapter 846. Miss you. Pei Jin looked at Shisheng from across the void. He didn't think it was cruel. In this world, if you don't kill me, I'll kill you. He had only just realized that this girl had always attacked him without saying a word. Why was she trying to trip him up now? Shisheng smiled. Those who achieve great things don't care about trifles. With the female lead's terrifying aura of immortality, she'd be looking for death. We have to save the country in a roundabout way. The host is definitely up to something. It has nothing to do with saving the country in a roundabout way. I'm betting on a master hashtag. Shisheng took out a handful of sunflower seeds and cracked them as he watched the fight between the plants and the humans below. Aimi seemed to be much smarter than the previous female leads, but also much more cold-blooded. She quickly organized her men to defend and led them to retreat to the buildings in the distance. After Aimi left, the rest of the people were in trouble. In the blink of an eye, they were all killed by the mushrooms. Brother Pei. Meow Meow tugged at Pei Jin's sleeve and carefully glanced at Shisheng. That you, Xia? Pei Jin patted Meow Meow's head. It's okay. She won't hurt you. After Pei Jin finished speaking, he was stunned for a moment. He didn't know why he said such a sentence. But judging from her behavior, she was a person of her word. Since she didn't attack them so many times, she probably wouldn't kill them. Pei Jin felt lucky. After all, there were so many people, but she didn't look them in the eye. She just indulged him and meow meow. The word was probably indulgence, right? Aimi and the others entered the building, and they all had lingering fears. How did they get in? Aimi frowned and asked the others. Everyone shook their heads. They were all arguing with the group and didn't see how the mushrooms got in. At that time, they all saw with their own eyes that Aimi scattered the powder nearby, so someone must have destroyed the powder while they were fighting. Aimi, who do you think it was? There were only a few people present who didn't fight. I think it was that woman. Aimi knew who he was talking about. It was the woman sitting on the sword. I also think it's her. I keep feeling that there's an evil aura around her, and she's the most likely to be able to do it. After all, she had a flying sword. Have you heard of a flying sword? No. No. The world is already like this, so it's not strange for anything to happen. That woman is a little strange. I don't feel comfortable looking at her. I keep feeling a chill running up my head. A few people were talking at once, but they were only guessing. They didn't directly believe that the Shisheng was the culprit. Aimi frowned and motioned for them to be quiet. Don't you think she looks like someone? Everyone turned to look at Aimi. Who is it? I'm not sure. Aimi's frown deepened. I just think it looks like it. Aimi, don't keep me in suspense. Who do you look like? Aimi slowly said. Yuxia. There was a strange silence in the air. After a while, someone finally broke the silence. Is she the Yuxia from the announcement? Speaking of which, it's quite similar. Didn't they say that Yuxia also has a sword? But she doesn't look old. Aimi was about to speak when she saw a flash of light in her pocket. She handed the things in her hand to the person next to her. Count how many things we have left. The others looked at each other. Obviously, Aimi was the leader. They took the things and counted them while discussing. Aimi walked to the side and took out her black card. There was a row of small words on it. Points mission, kill Yuxia. Reward, 50,000 points and a black card. 50,000 points. Aimi was shocked. Yuxia's head was worth so much? But what does a black card mean? Can I get another black card? After Aimi finished reading the points, the row of small words immediately disappeared and turned into a map. A red dot was flashing. It really was her. Yuxia is really hateful. If it weren't for her, we wouldn't have to increase the difficulty. I heard from others that newcomers like us who enter the world for the first time have better luck than veteran players, and have a higher chance of advancing. Now that the world has leveled up and there are so many high-level players, what should we do next? I don't know. Let's ask Aimi later. Do you think the woman outside is Yuxia? It's her. Aimi walked over from the side and glanced at the several people present. There was a moment of hesitation in her heart. Finally, she said, I just received a points mission. The mission is to kill her. Someone was surprised. Really? Aimi nodded. The atmosphere was dignified again. She shouldn't be easy to kill. A lot of people wanted to kill her before. I heard that someone followed her. In the end, she took them to the Dark Elf's nest and everyone died. Who wants to join? I'll share the mission with you. There's a total of 50,000 points. After splitting, each of us will have 10,000 points. The points mission could be shared. If one person received it, it would be a bit like the team mode in a game. The rewards would naturally be divided equally. Aimi knew that she definitely couldn't kill the Shisheng alone, but 50,000 points and that black card were really tempting. So much. The most points missions they usually received was 100 points. The most points they saw was the mission to kill Yuxia. This time it was 50,000 points. The others looked at each other for a while. I'll join. I'll join too. If you all join, I'll join too. Aimi received the points mission, and so did Shisheng. Her points mission was to kill someone. Shisheng carefully counted the zeros behind the card, and felt that his eyes were a bit dazzled. Help me count how many zeros there are. Shisheng handed the card to Peijin. Peijin, you handed the card to me so carelessly? Aren't you afraid that I'll swallow it? Shisheng seemed to know what Peijin was thinking and said indifferently, it's just a speed card. It's useless. Peijin's expression immediately became strange. He always thought that even if her black card wasn't particularly rare, it would be rare and unique. Who knew that it was a speed card? Peijin took the black card and looked at the string of zeros a bit confused. 10, 100, 1000. Peijin counted the zeros. 5,000. He glanced at the mission, and the corner of his mouth twitched again. It was a killing mission. Do you think the person who set the rules is retarded? Shisheng suddenly said. Peijin reacted. What retarded? Shisheng snatched his black card back and looked at the darkness outside. The corners of his mouth curled up. The night is dark and the wind is strong. It's a night to kill someone. There's no one outside at this time. Asterisk system owner. Why am I being attacked even when I'm lying down? System. Master, you haven't been online for too long. I'll help you get some exposure. System owner. I'm being abused online? I'm not going online. I'm leaving. System. Chapter 847. Shisheng glared at Pei Jin. He laughed awkwardly and changed the topic to the mission. This mission, Shisheng munched on sunflower seeds. Not interested. If you don't do it, you'll be punished. If you didn't complete the mission, you'd be killed or punished. No one was willing to say what the punishment would be. Anyway, everyone was trying their best to complete the mission. Shisheng said calmly, "Oh." Pei Jin was speechless. What do you mean, oh? Can't you be a little more urgent? 5,000 people. Even if they stretched out their heads and waited to be chopped, their hands would be sore. Moreover, these 5,000 people would be running around. How long would that take? Where did you get the sunflower seeds? Pei Jin's ears were stuffed with sunflower seeds. Guess. Pei Jin was speechless. Guess my ass. There were only a few people left in the room. Those who had gone down earlier were the braver ones. These timid ones didn't dare to go down. Hearing the conversation between Shisheng and Pei Jin, they suddenly felt a chill run down their spines. It was as if the person sitting there would come over and take their heads in the next second. Brother Pei. Meow Meow pulled Pei Jin away from Shisheng. Hey, what did this little girl mean? Did she look scary? Shisheng leaned in Meow Meow's direction. Are you scared of me? Meow Meow immediately shrank behind Pei Jin and denied crisply, no. Then why are you hiding? Shisheng glared at her. Meow Meow pouted. You're so fierce. You're so fierce, fierce. How is this baby fierce? Where's I's sword? He munched on sunflower seeds to calm down. Only the sound of Shisheng munching on sunflower seeds could be heard in the room. Faint light shone through the window. In the darkness, something seemed to be flying over, flapping its wings. Pei Jin put out the candle that was about to light the room. The room instantly fell into darkness. The flapping sound became louder and louder, as if it was right beside their ears. Just as everyone was waiting with bated breath, Shisheng, who was munching on melon seeds, suddenly stood up, stepped on the windowsill and jumped down. Pei Jin only saw a black shadow jump down. However, he didn't need to think to know who had jumped down. In the blink of an eye, sharp screams could be heard amidst the flapping sounds outside. His voice drilled into everyone's ears, leaving only this voice in the entire world. Pei Jin did not even dare to take a deep breath. Just as his heart was trembling with fear, a black shadow flipped through the window, and an unpleasant smell rushed in from outside. The person who had climbed in didn't move. After a while, Pei Jin said, "Miss you?" Shisheng sat back down. Pei Jin exhaled the breath he had been holding in. The flapping sound outside had already subsided. It should have flown far away. The darkness returned to silence. After waiting for a while, Pei Jin finally dared to light the candle again. The first thing he saw was Shisheng, who was still munching on melon seeds. If it wasn't for the stains on her body, he would have suspected that it was his imagination that she jumped out. After there was light, Pei Jin saw a few crystals beside her. Compared to the ones he had seen before, these crystals were brighter in color, as if they had been soaked in blood. After eating the melon seeds, Shisheng took out her black card and fed the crystals to it. Pei Jin had seen it before, but the others hadn't. Seeing the crystals disappear, they were all dumbfounded. What was going on? Shisheng stopped after feeding her a few crystals. The dark elf's crystals could no longer be upgraded. She looked at Pei Jin and Meow Meow and tossed the crystals to them. Pei Jin. This world was no longer the one he knew. He had to improve his strength. Therefore, Pei Jin only hesitated for a while before asking Meow Meow to take out the black card. Every time Meow Meow used the black card's ability, it needed a lot of time to rest, which was very disadvantageous. Pei Jin was busy feeding the black card when suddenly, a blood-curdling scream came from outside the window. Ah! The sound came from the building next door. The victims should be the female lead's people. Pei Jin looked out the window and swallowed after a while. Miss you, what did those people scatter just now? I don't know. Pei Jin didn't care about Shisheng's casual attitude. He said seriously, if we can find out what it is, we can leave this place. Shisheng laughed arrogantly. I don't need it. Pei Jin. You don't need it, but we do. Do you think everyone can fly around in the sky like you and take down so many dark elves by yourself? At dawn, the mushrooms, which had been quiet all night, started to stir again. They kept chirping, and reveille was very loud. According to Pei Jin, the mushrooms were like that. They were active during the day and not at night. But humans didn't dare to go out. The mushrooms weren't active at night, but there were still dark elves. Humans could still move around during the day, but now they couldn't even move during the day. They didn't know how to survive at all. Me and the others had already packed up and came out. Shisheng leaned on the windowsill and looked at them. Sure enough, one person was missing. Everyone didn't look very good. Me walked directly to Shisheng's building. She looked up at Shisheng and shouted, Yuxia, let's cooperate? Shisheng raised his eyebrows slightly. The female lead wants to cooperate with me? Damn it. I won't do it. Not interested. Me choked. She organized her words. You should know that there's a second group of players coming in. Our group is their head, and you're the target of public criticism. We can only survive if we cooperate. Shisheng grinned. She was just short of carving the word evil on her forehead. You want to take my head? That'll depend on whether you have the ability or not. You want to lie to me? No way. She didn't reveal her name before. After sleeping with the female lead Sama, she was able to calculate her name? Flip's table. She must be plotting against me. The host's paranoia is serious again. Aime's heart skipped a beat. How did she know? That's not right. Aime cleared her throat. I just want to live. The mission to kill you has been cancelled. As long as we work together, we can definitely get a spot. What does that have to do with me? Of course you can live if you kill me. You want to use I as a stepping stone? Dream on. Aime. This girl doesn't follow the script. How am I supposed to respond to this? Yuxia, don't you understand the current situation? We're already fighting against the second group of players. If we don't work together, we'll all die here. Don't you want to live? I don't. Aime. There's no way to continue this conversation. Asterisk little fairy. If you don't want to live, what do you want to do? Shisheng. I just want to quietly ask for a vote. Little fairy. You know how to ask for a vote for me. Shisheng. Squinting. I'm just doing it for my Feng Ci. Little fairy. Chapter 848. If you want to work with me, I have a mission. If you help me complete it, I'll agree. What do you think? Just as Aime was thinking about how to persuade Shisheng, the woman suddenly changed her mind. Aime frowned and asked cautiously, what mission? Promise me that I'll tell you. Aime. Why do I feel like I'm being tricked? Aime don't agree. What kind of good intentions could she have? We can't agree. We can't agree. Aime's companions all tried to persuade her. Look at that woman's annoying smile. She's obviously tricking us. Aime was silent for a moment. If you don't tell me what the mission is, I won't agree. Shisheng spread his hands. Then what's there to talk about? Goodbye. Post your injury. The system reminded Shisheng. Shisheng ignored the system. I won't die for now. What's the hurry? So she won't cry until she sees the coffin? The negotiation failed. Aime and the others retreated to the building. Shisheng jumped off the window and landed on the ground. A group of mushrooms immediately rushed over and tried to bite her. Shisheng swung his sword. The sword energy swept out and created a safe passage. The mushrooms were eaten by their own kind. Pei Jin was dumbfounded. After Shisheng walked a distance, the mushrooms below were about to close. Pei Jin urged Meow Meow. Meow Meow, get down. Meow Meow nodded. It took a deep breath, climbed down the window, and trotted after Shisheng. The others in the room looked at each other and followed. In the building next to them, Aime watched Shisheng violently cut a path out. Her expression changed quickly. Aime, what should we do? Should we go after her? She's so powerful. Can we really kill her? Isn't it a bit dangerous? Aimi looked at the person who spoke and said coldly, "We've already accepted the mission. There's no turning back." The others looked at each other in dismay. Yes. There was no turning back. If they didn't complete the mission, death would be waiting for them. There were already people in the team who regretted accepting this mission. They shouldn't have been blinded by the 10,000 points, but it was too late for regrets now. Follow her. Aimi turned around and left. The others stood in place for a few seconds, but in the end, they could only chase after Aimi. Shirshing didn't expect the female lead to chase after him. This game was quite interesting. The female lead Sama is a dark type. After leaving the range of the man-eating mushrooms, Shirsheng saw a large plant that looked like a man-eating flower. They were at least twice the size of a human, and their color was black. A human standing in front of them seemed very small. Tendrils as thick as an arm occupied the entire ground. Humans would probably be sucked in by the tendrils the moment they stepped in. Shirsheng moved to the edge and killed a man-eating flower. She dragged the man-eating flower's corpse back to a safe place. The group of people behind her were all dumbfounded. This girl was so fierce that she wanted to ascend to the heavens. That thing was terrifying to look at, and you actually dragged it back. Shirsheng dissected the man-eating flowers. He dissected the branches and flower plates into pieces. These man-eating flowers probably didn't eat many people, so they didn't have much of a smell. What is she looking for? I don't know. There are so many man-eating flowers over there. How are we going to get there? Whispers sounded from the side. Shirsheng ignored them and focused on dissecting the man-eating flowers. After dissecting the flower plates, Shirsheng's white teeth were exposed, but she still didn't seem to find what she was looking for. There was nothing. She couldn't find those dead mushrooms either. Then what was the requirement to level up? Maybe there isn't one at all. The system suddenly popped up. Host, you are a bug now. Do you think they will let you level up? There must be. Shirsheng was certain that the person who could come up with such a perverted game rule wouldn't simply kill her. There must be something that could help her level up somewhere. Here you go. A small white hand suddenly appeared in front of Shirsheng, holding a small round bead the size of a thumb. It was round and blood red, like a polished jewel. Shirsheng looked up at Meow Meow. Meow Meow was still a little scared of her. It stuffed the bead into her hand and ran back to Pei Jin. Shirsheng. Could she be scarier than these man-eating flowers? Shirsheng looked at the bead in her hand, and then looked around the pile of corpses. She couldn't find the bead, so she looked at Meow Meow. Meow Meow shrunk its neck and slowly reached out its hand, pointing at the root that Shirsheng had kicked away. Miss you, what's this for? An older man with a square face came forward and asked with a frown. Aren't we leaving yet? It's getting dark. Shirsheng stood up with the bead in her hand and looked at the man. If you want to go, go ahead. I'm not holding you back. What a joke. Did he really think he was her bodyguard after following her around for a few days? The man with the square face choked. He braced himself and said, But it's getting dark. If we don't find a safe place, it'll be dangerous. Shirsheng lowered her eyes. It's dangerous for you, but it's the same for me. Everyone present could hear the arrogance in her tone. Thinking about her tough behavior along the way, she had the right to be arrogant. It wasn't strange for someone like her to raise the difficulty level of the world. The man with the square face thought of something and his face darkened. He glanced at Shirsheng and returned to the group resentfully. Shirsheng took out the black card in front of these people. The bead approached the black card. The color of the bead dimmed as it approached the black card. The blood-red color inside seemed to have been sucked out, leaving only a transparent glass bead. The red line on the edge of the black card in her hand deepened. Could it be upgraded? Shirsheng turned to look at a large patch of man-eating flowers in the distance. Why did they look so cute? Shirsheng put the black card back, swung the iron sword, and rushed into the man-eating flowers with the sword in her hand. Everyone. The door to a new world was slowly opening. Was she even human? Not every man-eating flower had that kind of bead. Shirsheng killed a lot of them and only found a few at the edge. Shirsheng suspected that the beads only appeared after the man-eating flowers ate humans. It was indeed perverted. There weren't any inside. Shisheng didn't go deeper. She fed all the beads she got to the black card. The red line on the edge of the black card became brighter, as if blood was seeping out. Congratulations to player Yu Xia for reaching level 9. Shisheng turned to look at the others. They were all looking at her. She should be the only one who could see this, so her level wasn't high enough. She had to continue upgrading. Hashtag what should I do if the host is addicted to upgrading? Waiting online, it's urgent. Hashtag * little fairy. There are tickets for upgrading. Monthly tickets. Cherub. What's a monthly ticket? Little fairy. Monthly ticket details. Please open the QQ reading app. Click on my profile, my account, monthly ticket. How to get a monthly ticket? It's the last day, double the amount. If you have a monthly ticket, hurry up and vote. You won't have babies if you keep it. Chapter 849. Why did she feed the bead to the black card? Aime's people were standing in the distance, confused by Shisheng's behavior. Aime was not sure either. She glanced at the man-eating flowers nearby and said, "Let's go and try." She wanted to see what this woman was up to. It was relatively easy for several people to deal with a man-eating flower. Aime searched among the flowers for a long time, but did not find the bead in Shisheng's hand. Aime did not believe it. She found a few more man-eating flowers at the edge, and worked together to knock them down. After knocking down 5 or 6 man-eating flowers, Aime finally found one bead. She put the bead on her black card. The blood-red bead instantly turned transparent, and her level also changed. Congratulations to player Aime for leveling up to level 3. Aime was surprised. She was only at level 1 before. How could she level up 2 with one bead? Aime suppressed the surprise in her heart, and looked at the figure in the distance. No wonder she was so fearless. Crack. A sudden sound came from the sea of man-eating flowers. The peaceful sea of flowers shook, and the roots on the ground twisted crazily and extended in all directions. Run! No one knew who reacted first, but with a strange cry, they started running towards the back. Seeing that Shisheng was still standing there, Peijin couldn't help but urge her nervously, "Ms. Yu, let's go." Almost as soon as Peijin's voice fell, a few figures rushed out of the man-eating flower sea. Behind them were countless entangled roots of the man-eating flower, chasing after the figures at a destructive speed. Shisheng narrowed his eyes. Fangchen. Wasn't the perverted Fangchen standing at the front of those few people? To Shisheng's surprise, Fangchen was followed by Suan Yuan. Flip's table. I knew the male lead would not die so easily. Fangchen saw Shisheng and his eyes suddenly lit up. He quickly rushed toward Shisheng. Shisheng cursed and ran back. Fangchen. She ran so fast that he thought she was going to rush up and stab him. F***ck, what are you still standing there for? Shisheng did not expect Peijin and Miao Miao to be standing there waiting for her. He was so angry that he shouted, "Run! Idiot!" Peijin grabbed Miao Miao and started running. His heart was about to jump out of his chest. What he had experienced in this world was far stranger than what he had experienced in the previous worlds combined. Fangchen could teleport, so his speed was fast. He caught up with Shisheng in the blink of an eye. "Miss you, we meet again." "Bah. I don't want to see a pervert like you." Fangchen followed Shisheng calmly. "Why are you running away?" Shisheng sneered. "If you don't run, then I won't run." F***ck, why are you asking the obvious? Fangchen raised his eyebrows. "Really?" Shisheng cast a sidelong glance at him. "Do you dare?" "Why wouldn't I dare?" The corners of Fangchen's mouth curled up into a smile, and his eyes revealed traces of calculation. "If I dare to stop, how about you give me that sword?" Shisheng. "Idiots always covet I's pretentious sword." Shisheng smiled and said, "I'll count to 3. We'll stop at the same time." Fangchen nodded in agreement. 3, 2, 1. Fangchen stopped abruptly. He looked to the side, but there was no one there. Shisheng had already run to the front and was giving him the middle finger. "I will stop when you tell me to. Do you think your face is made of diamonds?" F***ck, idiot. Fangchen's mouth twitched. How could a woman be so shameless? "Well, When a woman is shameless, she can go to heaven. Slap! A thick root whipped next to Fang Chen, and the cold wind made Fang Chen shiver. Suan Yuan and the others were already in front of him. Fang Chen hurried to run. A large group of people being chased by a pile of roots. This scene was a little strange. Everyone suddenly stopped when they reached the front. Me and the others were running in front, but now they were standing in the crowd. Don't you have something to disperse these man-eating mushrooms? Take it out. Hurry up, those things are catching up. Hurry up. Everyone urged Me. Me's face was cold, but she still explained. I didn't have time to take my bag with me when I was running. Everything is in my bag. Impossible. How could you not take something so important? You must not want us to go over. Give it to us. Give it to us. I don't want to die. Give it to me. What are you doing? We don't have it. Someone attacked the people around Me. Me was not polite. She took the first person's life and shouted angrily. I said I don't have it, so I don't have it. Boom. Countless stones splashed from the front. Along with the thick roots, they rushed into the crowd and wrapped around a person's ankle, directly dragging him back. A few roots flew around and wrapped around the person's limbs, tearing him into pieces. Shisheng just happened to run by below. Some blood dripped on her, and the smell of blood rushed to her nose. Shisheng frowned in annoyance and raised his sword to cut the roots above. The roots were so thick, but she cut them like they were carrots. The tentacles broke, fell to the ground, and wriggled a few times before stopping. Perhaps due to pain, the rhizome suddenly began to shrink back. But in the next second, the whole rhizome once again attacked Shisheng. The densely packed tendrils wriggled in the air, making for a sickening sight. Yuxia, hurry up. Yuxia, lead the way. The people in front saw Shisheng and shouted excitedly. Shisheng had led the way when they left, so it was understandable that these people put their hopes on her. Shisheng glanced at the people in front of her, and suddenly let go of the iron sword. The iron sword grew bigger. She jumped on it, and the iron sword immediately shot out. When it passed by Pei Jin and Miao Miao, Shisheng grabbed them up. The iron sword rose into the air, close to the people in front of it. Yuxia, how can you leave us in the lurch? Curses and curses were heard from below. What do I have to do with you? Why should I save you? Shisheng replied in a good mood. Yuxia, you'll die a horrible death. Shisheng lowered the iron sword on purpose to let the people below hear his voice. I don't know if you'll die a horrible death, but I know you're going to die soon. Yuxia, help. Yuxia, help me. Help. The scream stopped abruptly. The others turned pale. They put all their hopes on Shisheng. Yuxia, help me. As long as you save me, I'll do anything. Yuxia, miss you, help. Pei Jin's heartbeat never returned to normal. He held Miao Miao in his arms, wondering if he should be glad that he had a little friendship with this person. Shisheng calmly raised the iron sword into the air. The roots behind him couldn't rise that high, so they could only dance in the air. Looking down from above, the roots looked like a monster. The piranha flowers behind them had been crushed to the point that they couldn't be seen. Chapter 850. Shisheng turned a blind eye to their pleas for help. She had seen many deaths, and people would say anything in the face of death. Once the danger was gone, these people would not remember the kindness of others. They would only want to get benefits from others. She could save people she liked, but not those she didn't like. Sorry. We don't know each other. I have no obligation to save you. Shisheng couldn't do anything. They couldn't do anything except scold her. They couldn't drag her down from the sky, could they? If they had the ability, they wouldn't need others to save them. So these people's last hope fell on Me. When death came, these people would do anything. The situation was out of control again. Fang Chen and Suan Yuan arrived. These people also turned a blind eye to the chaotic scene. They bypassed them and rushed forward. But the mushrooms in front of them shocked them. Probably because they had never seen this kind of man-eating mushroom before, and seeing these people's cowardice, they guessed that this thing was not easy to deal with. Everyone stopped. Fang Chen joined forces? A person behind Suan Yuan shouted at Fang Chen. Fang Chen smiled strangely, shook his head, and looked at Shisheng. Miss you, I'll exchange a healing card with you. So good? The retard wanted to cause trouble again. Fang Chen shook his head helplessly. When it comes to life, a wise man submits to circumstances. His teleportation could only move a certain distance, and he needed a place to land. The mushrooms in front of him were densely packed. There was no place to land at all. Anything that appeared in this world would not be pretty. Shisheng spread his hands. But I can still get the card after you die, so why should I exchange with you? Fang Chen. I have nothing to say. The man who shouted just now snorted. Fang Chen, they don't buy it. Do you want to join forces with us? Join forces with you? Fang Chen's eyes showed a trace of disdain. I'm afraid I won't even know how I died. Fang Chen. The man was a little angry. If it wasn't for you, why would we be here? She's the culprit. How can you blame me? Fang Chen pushed the blame to Shisheng. She was the one who forcefully raised the level of the world. That's why we were teleported here. T. The man was furious. If you hadn't helped that Bat King at the end, how could we have been demoted? Fang Chen continued to shirk his responsibility. This is my mission. You can't blame me for this. They were teleported to this world because they failed a mission in the previous world. In a high-ranking world, as long as the failure was not too serious, they would not be wiped out. They would only lose levels. Who would have thought that he would be transported to a world where 1-star level was forcibly raised? The difficulty of such a world mission was not lower than that of a high-ranking world. Then didn't you still fail the mission in the end? The man mocked. A murderous look flashed across Fang Chen's eyes. He had suddenly attacked the man. The man had long wanted to attack. Now that Fang Chen had attacked first, he would not be polite. Shisheng sat on the iron sword and watched the show. Fang Chen was obviously stronger than the man. The man was kicked into the mushroom cluster in less than a minute. The mushroom submerged the man in an instant, and he disappeared in the blink of an eye. Fang Chen killed a man. The others did not say anything. Suan Yuan was even more silent. It was unknown whether he did not know Fang Chen, or did not want to have a conflict with Fang Chen. Flutter. Miss you. Pei Jin's voice trembled. There are dark elves coming. It's a big group. Shisheng looked into the distance. From the skyline, he could only see a black mass of dark elves. Shisheng took out a talisman and prepared to make a defense, but she found that it did not work. This world doesn't even have the heavenly axiom. It's normal that it can't be used. Shisheng muttered and took back the talisman. Miss you? Shisheng glanced at them. I'm going down now. You guys better pray for yourselves later. Pei Jin took a deep breath and nodded slightly. Shisheng led them down. As soon as she stepped on the ground, Fang Chen's annoying voice sounded. Miss you, isn't the scenery in the sky beautiful? Do you want to go up and take a look? Shisheng replied with a fake smile. I could send you up to the sky for free. No need. I think the ground is good. While they were talking, the dark elves had arrived in front of them. The gray sky was like a dark curtain. The deafening sound made people shiver. The roots in the distance also arrived in front of them and dragged them back. The dark elves in the sky would snatch them if they saw them. It was no longer a battle between humans and dark elves. The unluckiest ones were not the dark elves and the man-eating plants, but the humans. They could not compete with the dark elves in terms of strength and numbers. What was there to struggle for? Everyone showed their abilities. If they could survive, they would have a chance to survive. Fang Chen had been paying attention to Shisheng. When he saw her walking in the direction of the roots, he hesitated for a moment and chased after her. Miss you want to deal with it? Swoosh! Fang Chen dodged the iron sword. Miss you, don't be so unfriendly. I mean you no harm. Shisheng gritted her teeth. Her voice sounded like it was squeezed out from between her teeth. You don't mean me any harm. You mean my sword. Fang Chen's voice was unhurried. His voice rose slightly at the end, and was a little flirtatious. A peerless sword. A gentleman wants it. A black shadow swooped down from the sky. Shisheng raised her hand and swung the sword. A cold light flashed and a huge corpse fell from behind her, stirring up a gust of wind. The iron sword drew an arc in the air and pointed at Fang Chen. This is the result of coveting Ai's sword. Fang Chen's eyes brightened. He was not intimidated at all. Instead, he was determined to get the sword. King retard. Shisheng slashed at him directly. Under such circumstances, the two of them actually started fighting. The surrounding people were speechless. Looking around, there were man-eating mushrooms in front of them and man-eating tentacles behind them. There were even dark elves in the sky. The two of them actually started fighting. This was too infuriating. Fang Chen could teleport, and Shisheng could move quickly. If they really started fighting, neither of them would have an advantage. However, neither of them could do anything to the other. Miss you, don't you think it's boring to continue fighting like this? Don't you think it's fun to act cool like this? The pretentious Shisheng snorted. He was determined to act cool to the end. Fang Chen looked around. He did not think it was fun to fight in such a dangerous environment. Not only did he have to guard against enemies, but he also had to guard against things around him. It was easy to be distracted. Why don't we play something more interesting? Fang Chen felt that he should take back his sovereignty. Shisheng did not buy it. Her tone was calm. I think it's quite interesting to kill you. Fang Chen. Didn't he just want to steal her sword from her? Did she have to be so obsessed with killing him? Well, he wanted to steal it now too. Chapter 851. Side task. Find out the reason for the formation of this plane, and rescue the trapped humans. While Shisheng and Fang Chen were confronting each other, the system jumped out to make its presence known. Rescue the trapped humans? What a joke. Isn't this the job of the female lead? System, you're stealing the female lead's business. Be careful not to be beaten by the female lead. I won't do it. Whoever wants to do it can do it. #daily tasks rejected by the host +1 hashtag anyway. The system has already issued the task. You can do it or not. It's not the system that doesn't have points. The system logged off. It didn't want to see the host cause trouble. It felt that something was going to happen in this plane. It was better not to appear. Ah! A faint scream pulled Shisheng back from his thoughts. He swung his sword to cut down the dark elf that was about to rush up to him. He frowned and looked in the direction of the scream. The square-faced man who was with Shisheng before was choking Meow Meow's neck. He stared at Shisheng with a red face. You xia, take me out of here. Otherwise I'll kill her. Meow Meow. Don't come over. The square-faced man yelled at Pei Jin. Otherwise I'll choke her to death. Let's see if you're faster than me. Shisheng licked his lower lip with the tip of his tongue, and a smile appeared on his face. The smile was very faint. It was like a ripple on the surface of a calm lake, and then returned to normal in an instant. The square-faced man felt a little scared. He shouted in a rough voice, You xia. It seemed that this would reduce the discomfort in his heart. Meow Meow's blonde hair was in the man's hand. Her feet were already off the ground. Her fingers were tightly clutching the man's hand, trying to make him let her go. Shisheng turned and left. He had no intention of saving her. You xia. The square-faced man shouted in disbelief. How could she just stand by and do nothing? She clearly took care of this little girl before. She also took them away just now. Why? The square-faced man couldn't understand. Pei Jin took advantage of the square-faced man's distraction to attack him from behind. He rescued Meow Meow from his hands and kicked the square-faced man in the stomach. The square-faced man flew back uncontrollably and bumped into a dark elf. The dark elf clawed down and the square-faced man's stomach was cut open. His incredulous expression was still fixed on his face. Until his death, he still couldn't figure it out. Shisheng glanced sideways. He seemed to have expected this outcome, and was not surprised at all. Pei Jin wasn't stupid. As long as he was given an opportunity, he would be able to save Meow Meow. You've planned it well, Fang Chen commented. Shisheng admitted bluntly, I was born this smart. Fang Chen. When talking to her, other than the beginning, why couldn't he continue the rest of the sentence? You won't have any friends like this. Shisheng glanced at Fang Chen, and then looked at the tentacle monster in the distance. He decided to get rid of that monster first, Then deal with Fang Chen, this pervert. Shisheng rushed to the tentacle monster with his sword. Fang Chen was slightly surprised. Why did she suddenly give up on him? Just a moment ago, he looked like he was going to kill him. Women were so fickle. Fang Chen stood in the distance and watched Shisheng deal with the tentacle monster. The petite girl kept stepping on the tentacles as she ascended. Every time she swung her sword, it seemed casual, but she was able to deal a heavy blow to the tentacle monster. She soon reached the top and disappeared from Fang Chen's sight after a few jumps. Fang Chen didn't know how her petite body contained so much power. She was like a treasure that people couldn't help but want to dig out. A group of dark elves swooped down from the sky and blocked Fang Chen's sight. He had to deal with these dark elves first. Ong! A continuous high-pitched sound came from the tentacle monster's body. It seemed to be in pain, and could only make this kind of sound that sounded like a scream. The tentacles that were scattered all around retracted and wrapped around it, forming a round sphere. It shrank and bulged like a beating heart. Bang, 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 bang. The frequency was getting faster and faster, as if it was about to explode. But after more than 20 seconds, the ball suddenly deflated. The tentacles wrapped around it withered at a speed visible to the naked eye, turning into strips of dry skin. The green ball turned into a pile of withered skin in the blink of an eye. Shisheng cut open the layers of withered skin and walked out. The black card in her hand was now completely black. The red lines around it were no longer imaginary, but solid. This was the symbol of a black card for players above level 10. Congratulations to player Yuxia for reaching level 10. Congratulations to player Yuxia for reaching level 11. 2 pop-up boxes popped up in a row, but there was no other news. Shisheng was a little disappointed. She had only reached 2 levels. Shisheng put away the black card. When she raised her hand, her arm suddenly spasmed. She frowned and reached out to touch her shoulder. The injured part was as stiff as a rock, and her arm shook uncontrollably. The host's drug effect is about to wear off. There seemed to be a different tone in the cold electronic voice. What the hell are you gloating about? Shisheng gritted her teeth in her heart. Host, aren't you so arrogant? Let's see what you can do now. The system continued to court death. The drugs redeemed from the system store can only be used once. It won't work the second time. Shisheng resisted the trembling in her hand, and used her other hand to wield her sword. She waved it around randomly, forcing the dark elves to retreat and opening a path for herself. Miss you seem to need help. Fang Chen appeared beside Shisheng leisurely. May I have the honor to help Miss you? Shisheng ignored Fang Chen and quickly rushed towards the mushroom army. She opened up a path for them. Her actions immediately gave those who were still alive hope. They all followed behind her. Fang Chen was a little confused. He thought for a while and followed her. Shisheng found a building that could hide them from the dark elves. He waved the mushrooms around the building away, but she didn't go in. Instead, she blocked the entrance. There was a group of people just now, but now there were only a dozen left. Shisheng blocked the entrance. These people were so anxious that their eyes turned red. They straightened their necks and shouted at Shisheng. What are you doing? Get out of the way. Some people wanted to rush in, but Shisheng held his iron sword horizontally. Come up if you want to die. Everyone. Shisheng looked at AI me in the crowd. Give me the healing card, and I'll let you in. Fang Chen, who was left behind, was speechless. This method of hers was a little too awesome. There was an army of mushrooms all around. Unless she let them in, these people could only wait for death. Healing card? That kind of skill card is very rare. I haven't seen many people in other worlds with it. Who has it? Give it to her. I don't have it. I don't have it either. Everyone expressed that they didn't have it. In the end, only Fang Chen and AI Mi were left. Suan Yuan had been with AI Mi for some time. At this time, he looked at Shisheng with a sinister expression. He still remembered what happened last time. Chapter 852. Shisheng felt a fire starting to burn at her wound. The burning pain made her unable to exert any strength in her arm. Shisheng took a deep breath, suppressing the waves of pain that were surging up one after another. She looked at them without a change in expression. At this time, the mushroom army that was forcibly separated by Shisheng started to gather around the food. We don't have any healing cards. Let us in. Let us in, Shisheng was unmoved. I opened the road so you have to pay. Do you think it's so easy to live without paying? I'm not the female lead. I won't do charity. Where do you want us to find one for you? Can't you find something else? As long as you let us in, we'll do anything. Yes, anything. A group of people agreed. If anything is fine, then you can wait for your death outside. Everyone. That's not what we meant. She's injured. Everyone attack. This shout made the place quiet for a few seconds. Several people attacked Shisheng at the same time. Do you think I can't beat you just because I'm injured? King idiots. At first, there were only a few people. As the mushrooms got closer and closer, and the dark elves' cries came from afar, everyone stopped hesitating and rushed forward. The scene was chaotic. Shisheng was surrounded and attacked. Some people tried to run in, but Shisheng blocked them every time. The worst was kicked out and became food for the mushroom army. Aimi and a few people approached Shisheng. They wanted to take the opportunity to kill Shisheng. But how could Shisheng be so easy to kill? She kicked aside the people blocking her way and charged at Aimi aggressively. Aimi's combat strength wasn't that high, and she had just entered this world not long ago. Shisheng took her down in 2 moves. The others looked at Shisheng with fear. They didn't dare to attack. Fortunately, they were a little closer to the inside of the building. Probably for the survival of humans, these man-eating mushrooms would not enter the building. They would stop outside the building. But they were still in danger. As long as the man-eating mushrooms jumped up, they could still bite them. Moreover, the dark elves in the distance seemed to be rushing over. Time was of the essence. Shisheng pulled Aimi to the center and smiled sinisterly. There's a path to heaven, but you don't want to take it. I'll give you 101 points for your courage. She couldn't exert any strength with her hand, so she had to give up on searching him. Are you going to take out the card yourself or should I? Aimi looked at Shisheng calmly. Xia, let's talk inside. I think it's good to say it here. Shisheng looked at those who wanted to step forward but didn't dare to. His lips curled into a strange smile. His voice was faint as if it came from hell. If you want to die, let's die together. At least there's someone to keep you company on the road to the netherworld, so you won't be lonely. Everyone shuddered as a chilly wind blew around them. They weren't afraid of encountering unreasonable people, but they were afraid of encountering unreasonable people who didn't care about their lives. If you have it, then give it to her. Do you want us all to die here? Give it to her. Aimi, it's easy for you to say that. Would you give your black card to someone else? Once the black card left one's body, the chances of survival were slim. If she doesn't give it to us, are we all going to die here? The man-eating mushrooms are coming. Hurry up and give it to her. Can't we settle our grudges inside? Someone urged. Miss, if you have it, then give it to her. Yeah, we'll figure out a way for you later. They definitely couldn't touch Xia. Just now, they couldn't do anything to her. Instead, they let her kidnap someone. You make it sound nice. The people around Aimi were furious. Xia, let go of Aimi. Hey, don't be so fierce. If you're so fierce, if my hand trembles, your Aimi might. Shisheng tilted his neck and stuck out his tongue, making a gesture of death. How dare you? Shisheng arrogantly raised his eyebrows. Let's see if I dare or not. When he said this, the iron sword had already cut Aimi's neck. The smell of blood instantly spread. Aimi didn't feel much pain in her neck. She just felt that the wound was particularly cold. What was on her neck was not a sharp sword, but a heavy and cold ice. The coldness flowed through the wound and into her limbs. Her blood seemed to have solidified. Aimi's face cracked and turned a little blue. Aimi, Xia, stop. The person panicked. Okay, I'll give it to you. Aimi forced herself to calm down and interrupted the person in a deep voice. She took out her black card. Are you satisfied? Shisheng took the black card and confirmed that it was Aimi's card. He pushed her towards the people. He leaned sideways and supported himself with his sword. He looked at the group of people with a smile. Aimi, are you okay? Aimi touched her neck. It was wet and sticky, and there seemed to be a chill there. She shook her head. Let's go in first. The others had already rushed in when Shisheng stepped aside. Aimi led her people and followed in. When Suan Yuan passed by Shisheng, his eyes were like sharp ice weapons. He wanted to poke Shisheng into a sieve. You're not dead yet, Shisheng said fearlessly. His face was full of provocation. Suan Yuan gritted his teeth and squeezed out a few words. Yuxia, I'll remember this grudge. Thinking about what he had experienced last time, Suan Yuan wanted to cut this woman into pieces. Shisheng said heroically, if you don't take revenge, you're not a man. You're welcome to fight. Suan Yuan's eyes were malicious. He looked at Shisheng ambiguously and walked in. Shisheng rolled his eyes. Idiot. Feng Chun was the last. The moment he stepped in, the last piece of land was occupied by an army of mushrooms. A few of them jumped up and tried to bite him. Feng Chun took a few steps forward calmly. The mushrooms bit empty air and fell back into the army. I've seen misuse courage today. She dared to threaten so many people. And she really succeeded in threatening him. What you saw today was only 1/10 of my strength. When he was bold, he could tear a battleship apart with his bare hands. I'm looking forward to it. Shisheng narrowed his eyes. The air around them froze and a murderous aura rose. Feng Chun changed the topic. I have a healing card too. Why didn't Miss You threaten me? Shisheng said seriously. It's too ugly. A protagonist who hadn't grown up yet versus a boss who should be crazy. Even an idiot would choose the former. Feng Chun felt like he had been shot in the knee. Minus 99,999 kept floating above his head. His Adam's apple bobbed twice. He wanted to defend himself, but when he thought of his face, it seemed that no matter how he tried to defend himself, his face would turn pale. He simply shut up and walked in. Actually, he wasn't that ugly. If he was among the people just now, other than Suan Yuan, he could be considered a little fresh meat. How was he ugly? Feng Chun. Why am I so ugly? Little fairy, you're strong. Feng Chun. Why am I so ugly? Little fairy, you're the boss. Feng Chun. Why am I so ugly? Little fairy, you're that ugly. Feng Chun. Chapter 853. Shisheng stood at the door and used a healing card on himself, but the effect wasn't obvious. Only the stiffness around the wound disappeared. Shisheng poked at the wound. It hurt a little. Didn't the healing card heal me? Host, you're taking too long. The system reminded him. Shisheng. Why didn't you say so earlier? She thought that even if this thing was about to die, it would be able to save her. Does the host think she's the female lead? You're cannon fodder. How can cannon fodder be treated like a female lead? Shisheng used the healing card on himself a few times, but the wound didn't heal completely. In the end, it didn't work. Forget it, I won't die for now. My host can always smile in the face of death, not because she's cool but because she knows she can start over after death. Flips table *#. On the second floor, each of the small groups occupied a spot. Aimi was treating the wound on her neck. Aimi, your healing card? Aimi's hands paused, then she calmly continued to bandage the wound. Her eyes were filled with an obscure light. After the wound was bandaged, she said, I'll get it back. Suan Yuan leaned to the side and glanced at Aimi when he heard her words. How? The person next to him frowned. Yuxia's strength is not something we can deal with. Aimi was as calm as ever. There will be a way. Just then, the sound of metal scraping against the floor came from the direction of the stairs. Footsteps were gradually approaching. Everyone looked at the stairs at the same time, alert and nervous. The sound was getting closer and closer. Sneakers appeared around the corner, followed by legs and bodies, and the iron sword with a cold light. Shisheng dragged the iron sword upstairs, glanced around casually, and walked directly to where Aimi was. The others couldn't help but move to make room for them. Aimi stood up, her eyes filled with vigilance. Both sides just stood there, and no one made a sound. The entire space was silent. Aimi took a deep breath and broke the silence. Yuxia, what do you want? Nothing. Shisheng said briskly and shrugged slightly. Here, I'm giving it back to you. Aimi looked at the black card in the girl's hand and was a little stunned. Why would she return the black card to me? You don't want it? Shisheng raised his eyebrows. Forget it if you don't want it. Hey, the young man over there is here to send you off. Before Aimi could react, Shisheng had already tossed the black card to the side, and it happened to fall into the hands of the young man who was called out. The young man felt that he was holding a hot potato, but thinking that it was a healing card, he felt a surge of joy in his heart. This was a rare healing card. You Xiaoyu. A what? Shisheng held the iron sword and looked at Aimi with one hand on his waist. I asked you if you wanted it or not, and you didn't want it. How can you blame me for that? Aimi. When did she say she didn't want it? Aimi felt that she was about to explode. She wanted to tear the person in front of her into pieces and throw him into the man-eating mushroom outside. She had never felt that someone was so detestable before. You want to kill me? Shisheng smiled slightly. What a coincidence, I want to kill you too. Come, let's fight. Shisheng stepped back and said as he rolled up his sleeves. Everyone. Was this girl here to make fun of them? Aimi wanted to follow her, but she was pulled back by the people behind her. Aimi, don't be impulsive. She might be up to something. Aimi instantly sobered up. She didn't even have a healing card now. How could she beat her? This woman was so insidious. She was trying to provoke her. Aimi sat back down and ignored Shisheng with the temperament of a heroine. She had to work hard to level up and then kill Yu Xia. Aimi ignored Shisheng, and Shisheng turned his attention to Suan Yuan. Are you coming or not? Suan Yuan just sneered and didn't respond to Shisheng. Shisheng. The male and female protagonists were indeed able to withstand provocation. If it were a supporting character, they would have started fighting in minutes. Shisheng was bored after bouncing around for a while, so he found a place to sit down and rest. She sat down and then realized that she didn't see Miao Miao and Pei Jin. Shisheng looked around and found that there was indeed no one. She had run in front of them, so she didn't know if those two people had followed her. Whether they could survive or not depended on their luck. Why did you give the healing card back to her? A voice suddenly came from beside Shisheng. Feng Chen appeared out of nowhere and leaned against the wall. He tilted his head and asked her, You won't have a good ending if you steal from the female protagonist. Ha! Feng Chen didn't understand. What female protagonist? Shisheng rolled his eyes. If you don't believe me, you can go and steal it and see what happens. Feng Chen. He had a feeling that she was instigating him to do something terrible. Why are you always sticking to me? Shisheng pointed the iron sword at Feng Chen. Miss you, you're wrong. I'm not interested in you. Feng Chen's eyes fell on the iron sword. He was interested in this sword. Shisheng narrowed his eyes. Suddenly he jumped up and slashed at Feng Chen. Feng Chen's figure flashed and appeared on the other side of Shisheng. Miss you. Can't you say something before you start fighting? He attacked without saying anything. He didn't even give her a chance to react. This was despicable behavior. Shisheng slashed back. Why should I remind you? Feng Chen did not have time to respond to Shisheng's random slashes. He could only dodge quickly. Everyone looked at the two people who were fighting in confusion. Why did they suddenly start fighting? The three men who had been huddling in the corner started to move and sneak toward Shisheng and Feng Chen. These three men were the ones who had rushed out of the sea of man-eating flowers with Feng Chen. They approached the two people from three directions. They made a hand signal from afar and launched a sneak attack at the same time. Shisheng and Feng Chen, who were still fighting, split up almost at the same time. They swept to two sides and attacked the sneak attackers. Shisheng's sword cut a deep trench in the ground and broke through the wall. The man was thrown outside. Feng Chen had also taken care of one of his men. There was only one man left. He was frozen on the spot and probably hadn't reacted yet. Everything happened too fast. It was so fast that it happened in the blink of an eye. Feng Chen threw away the dead man in his hands. Miss you, it seems that we have a tacit understanding. Why don't we leave the last man to miss you? Shisheng supported himself with his sword and asked, Why should I? Feng Chen's mouth twitched. What was there to ask? They wanted to kill you just now. Aren't you angry, Miss Yu? Shisheng sneered. How do you know that they came for me and not you? Feng Chen raised his eyebrows innocently. The reward for killing you is much higher than killing me. That doesn't mean that they came for me. The sneak attacker. He didn't understand what they were arguing about. They wanted to kill both of them. So go to hell. The sneak attacker shouted and rushed toward Feng Chen, who was closest to him. Feng Chen. This girl was obviously easier to kill than him. Why did she choose him? Asterisk hashtag today's black tea flavored ticket hashtag votes were cast. Monthly votes. Monthly votes. Monthly votes. Chapter 854. Ever since Feng Chen and Shisheng took care of the three ambushers, no one dared to go near them. After all, the two of them were either fighting or arguing with each other. They would be courting death if they went near them. They didn't understand the battle between the bosses. What's your level? Feng Chen, this pervert, was so difficult to deal with. Feng Chen patted the footprints left by Shisheng. Miss Yu, what's your level? Guess. Miss Yu guessed too. Shisheng grinned. Do I have to guess just because you asked me to? Feng Chen thought for a while. How do you want me to guess? Go to hell. Feng Chen. I can't continue this conversation. Feng Chen turned around and found a place to sit down. His eyes kept glancing at the iron sword in Shisheng's hand. I really want that sword. How could he snatch it from him? As night fell, the exhausted people who had been running for their lives all went to sleep. Only a few people were left to keep watch. Shisheng leaned against the wall and blended into the darkness. No one could detect where he was. Miss Yu. Feng Chen came out of the darkness. What do you want? Shisheng instinctively pointed the iron sword in Feng Chen's direction. What was this idiot up to again? Stop fighting. Feng Chen lowered his voice. Do you want to level up? I'll take you to kill something. Are you that kind? This pervert always wanted to snatch her sword. Now he was saying that he wanted to take her to level up. She didn't believe that he wasn't up to something. Feng Chen told the truth. I can't kill it alone. We'll split it 50-50. Shisheng rejected him mercilessly. If you can't kill it, how can I? I'm not going. Feng Chen. Can't a girl like you do things the same way? Feng Chen tried to persuade Shisheng for a long time, but he refused to go. I'll take 40, you'll take 60. Feng Chen endured the pain and decided to use his ultimate move. I'll take 70, you'll take 30. Feng Chen. So this was what he was waiting for. Feng Chen continued to bargain. Shisheng's offer of 70% to me and 30% to you had never changed. In the end, if Feng Chen was defeated, the three of them would also gain a lot of benefits. At that time, they could just ask her to put in more effort. After the discussion, Shisheng stood up and left with Feng Chen. There were mushrooms everywhere outside. Although they wouldn't jump around at night, if you really stepped on them, they would still bite you. Shisheng was sitting on the sword, so he didn't have to worry about stepping on the mushrooms. Feng Chen could teleport and stop at some protruding places, but he couldn't stand it for a long time. Miss Yu, can you give me a ride? Shisheng sat cross-legged on the iron sword, propping up his chin. 10 black cards. Miss Yu, you can't be so sneaky. The black cards on him were all high level. 3 no more. Then jump on your own. Feng Chen knew that this young lady would not change her mind once she had said something. Feng Chen spent a lot of points and finally reached his destination. Shisheng saw a particularly large mushroom from afar. It was at least as tall as a small building with more than 10 floors. And it was the kind that glowed. The light blue fluorescent light made it look like a huge building from afar. This is the mother body of the man-eating mushroom. Feng Chen explained from below. How do we kill it? Shisheng waved the man-eating mushroom on the ground to make an open space. Feng Chen looked at the glowing man-eating mushroom with deep eyes. It seems that someone got here before us. Shisheng followed Feng Chen's line of sight and saw a few people approaching the man-eating mushrooms. The fluorescent light made their silhouettes indistinct, like ghosts. Feng Chen was about to talk about the battle plan when a gust of wind blew past his ear. The iron sword whizzed out, dragging a cold light in the darkness. The blade went straight into the body of the man-eating mushroom. Fang Chen. Couldn't she tell him before she did it? Shisheng explained innocently, my hand slipped. Fang Chen resisted the urge to beat her. He knew that she did it on purpose. Moo! The quiet man-eating mushroom made a high-pitched sound. That voice spread far and wide in the darkness. It was sharp, ear-piercing, and terrifying. Several people who had been close to the man-eating mushroom were startled by the sudden change. One of them looked up and saw the iron sword on top of the mushroom. His face twisted strangely. Retreat! He scolded in a low voice. Shisheng could see them retreating. They're gone. So you put your sword on top of the mushroom to scare them away? I saw it. Fang Chen was speechless. They were gone, but the mushroom was angry. He had planned to let Shisheng launch a sneak attack with her sword. The success rate was 70%. But now Fang Chen looked at the mushroom army that had been summoned by the mother body of the man-eating mushroom. He felt that it would be difficult for them to leave. The mushroom army was like boiling water, jumping one after another. The mushrooms close to the mother body were dyed with the light blue fluorescent light. The scene was quite beautiful. Beautiful, my ass. Stop looking. Fang Chen pulled Shisheng. Let's go. Why should we go? Shisheng didn't understand. The mushroom hadn't been killed yet. It's difficult to deal with. I'll tell you later. Get your sword back and leave here first. Shisheng raised his eyebrows slightly. Since we're here, if we don't take something back, wouldn't it be a waste of time? Moo! The iron sword pulled out of the mushroom by itself and chopped down again. Shisheng commented with disdain. This sound is too unpleasant. How could a mushroom make a sound like a cow? Mushrooms should look like mushrooms. Fang Chen was tired and didn't want to talk. He couldn't follow her routine at all. Shisheng took out a few energy balls and tossed one into the distance. The shockwave from the explosion sent the surrounding mushrooms flying. Fang Chen was stunned. He couldn't help but think of the last time he was blown up by this thing. At that time, there were ruins everywhere, and all the places were big pits. He couldn't experience the destructive power. But today, these mushrooms made Fang Chen understand clearly how powerful this thing was. The mushrooms were all gone in the places where they were blown up. They weren't blown to smithereens, but there was nothing left. Fang Chen swallowed his saliva and took a few steps back. This woman was so scary. He suddenly felt that the things he had done in the past were nothing compared to what he was doing now. This was a mighty person who had both strength and the ability to show off. But why was it a woman? Fang Chen was a little unconvinced. Other than being ugly, he felt that everything was the best. Why didn't God give him such good resources? What was the meaning of letting a woman be so awesome? Shisheng opened up a path to the big mushroom and swaggered over. Fang Chen hesitated for a few seconds and followed him. Since he was already here, if he didn't go, this woman would definitely take his share. Fang Chen couldn't let Shisheng take advantage of him, so he followed Shisheng. Please vote. Chapter 855. The mushroom's huge body twisted like a giant soft-boned beast, swaying in the dark night. Shisheng approached the mushroom and summoned the iron sword back. Be careful, it can spray acid. You'll be corroded if you get hit, Fang Chen reminded Shisheng. Shisheng glanced at the bubbling viscous liquid on the iron sword. You don't want me to deal with it alone, do you? This idiot's idea was really good. Fang Chen's words were very beautiful. Miss Yu is so powerful, it's more than enough to deal with it. I won't fight with Miss Yu for the credit. Shisheng's eyes curved. It's okay, I'll give you some credit. No need. Shisheng's eyes suddenly became gloomy, and the dark night became even gloomier. Fang Chen clenched his fist and pressed it against his lips. I can only help you attract its attention and give you a chance to kill it. But if my life is threatened, I'll retreat immediately. Shisheng raised his chin, agreeing with Fang Chen's words. Fang Chen took a deep breath and looked at the growling mushroom. Fight! For the first time, Fang Chen felt that he had made the right decision to take a fancy to her sword and not her life. She was so violent. Just look at the mushroom that was chopped into pieces. The main mushroom died, and the other small mushrooms withered and died. The ground was covered with mushroom corpses. Of course, Fang Chen still felt that the credit should go to the sword. After all, the sword seemed to be able to cut anything. It was so awesome. He really wanted it. Fang Chen stared at the sword floating in the air with shining eyes. He sneaked over and grabbed the hilt. Buzz. The iron sword trembled violently. Shisheng raised his head from the pile of mushroom meat and looked at Fang Chen. "Miss you, I'm just looking." Fang Chen smiled calmly. Shisheng lowered his head. "Up to you." Fang Chen thought these 2 words were meant for him. But the iron sword suddenly pushed him away and slashed at him. Only then did he realize that these 2 words were meant for the iron sword. Fang Chen was chased by the iron sword. Shisheng had already taken out a pile of triangular crystals from the big mushroom. He sat directly on the mushroom corpse next to him and took out the black card to feed it. Congratulations to player Yu Xia for reaching LV15. As player Yu Xia's level is too high, the world level will increase again. Players, please be prepared. Fang Chen suddenly received a full service notification from the black card. He hurried back to Shisheng's side. "You've leveled up? How did you level up?" Shisheng looked at Fang Chen strangely. "Didn't you ask me to level up?" "Me?" Fang Chen was dumbfounded. "The upgrade I was talking about is to use that when we return to the space station. Why is there so little left?" Fang Chen glanced at Shisheng's feet. There had been a large pile of crystals earlier, but now there were only a dozen left. "For upgrading," Shisheng answered matter-of-factly. "The upgrading you mentioned might be different from the upgrading I mentioned." Fang Chen. What happened to the agreed 370 split? It took Fang Chen a while to figure out how the Shisheng was upgraded. As an experienced player, this was the first time he knew that upgrading could be done this way. The upgrading method he mentioned was to exchange the crystals with the space station. Shisheng heard this and concluded rationally. "The principle is similar, but you have to go through the space station you mentioned. Obviously, the experience points gained from the space station decreased after that. Are you really a newbie?" Fang Chen looked at Shisheng strangely. This was not like a newbie at all. The rules of the game are similar. The only difference is in some subtle aspects. How could an experienced player not know? Flap flap flap. F***CK. Shisheng ran with his sword. The sound of the big mushroom attracted the dark elf. Fang Chen picked up the crystals on the ground and quickly chased after Shisheng. In a building in the distance, a thin man sat on a wooden chair. A faint light flickered beside him, casting his long, thin, and distorted shadow on the wall behind him. The flapping sound outside came closer and closer, then farther and farther, until it was quiet again. "Boss." Someone called out weakly in the dark. The faint light flickered and shone on a few people standing in the corner. "This world has been upgraded to a 3-star level." The man rested his elbow on the back of the wooden chair and bent his fingers to support his chin. "Isn't it more fun?" "Huh. How is it fun?" The level of players in a 3-star world was between 20 and 30. This was a forceful upgrade. Who knew what level the people who came in were? Damn boss. They were the second batch of people to come in and belonged to the top of the food chain. But when the third batch came in, they became the prey. What else can be hunted nearby? The man ignored the hesitation of his underlings and asked. The underlings looked at each other. "There should be a dark elf king nearby, boss." The man interrupted them. "That's it. The underlings." "Boss, are you kidding? Dark elf king? How could they deal with it with so few people? To be called a king, its strength would increase exponentially." Obviously, the underlings' persuasion was useless. The man insisted on killing the Dark Elf King. Shisheng went back the way he came. The sky was gray and began to brighten. Those abandoned buildings were more like monsters hidden in the fog at this time. Huge and ferocious. Everyone had received the previous message. When Shisheng went back, those people were awake and looked at him with a complicated and nervous expression. It was as if they didn't recognize him after a night. Of course, they didn't recognize him. After a night of not seeing him, this boss raised the world level again. How could this group of below-average newcomers live? Shisheng went in leisurely and turned a blind eye to these people's eyes. What did she do last night? There were so many dark elves outside and she dared to go out. I think it's better not to provoke her. The sound of discussion spread out intermittently. Aimi, what should we do now? Do we still kill her? Aimi's small group gathered in a circle and discussed countermeasures. The mission has been upgraded. Aimi looked down at the black card in her hand. She turned the card, and the small words on the black card immediately appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Kill Yuxia and you will be rewarded with 100,000 points, 3 direct promotions, and 2 black cards. 100,000 points. Everyone was surprised. It doubled directly. This mission is impossible to complete. Although the points were very tempting, some people knew their own strength and the other party's strength. Now that the mission has been accepted, Aimi took back the black card. There's no way back. Everyone's face suddenly turned ugly. Aimi comforted them. Don't be discouraged, there will always be a chance. Can I join? Chapter 856. When they left, they found that the mushrooms outside were all dead. This news was similar to when they found out that this world had leveled up by 1 star. Some people guessed that it was Sheng's doing. After all, she and Fengchen had gone out yesterday and leveled up when they came back. Now that the mushrooms were dead, it was hard for them not to suspect her. Without the mushrooms, these people immediately went their separate ways. No one trusted each other, and staying together was all they could do. It was better to split up. Sheng found that the guy who took Aimi's card was gone. Aimi had used her black card to check the news today. Sheng was already imagining a big drama in his mind. Aimi had obviously snatched her black card back. The female lead of the Dark series was really scary. Sheng followed Aimi and the others from a distance. Aimi originally wanted to follow Sheng, but Sheng refused. Aimi and the others had to walk by themselves. After walking for a while, they found that Sheng was far behind them. What does she want? Aimi looked back. On the abandoned street in the distance, a girl was walking leisurely with her arms crossed. She suppressed the anger in her heart and told the people around her, I don't know. Everyone be careful. Fengchen rushed out from the ruins. Yuxia. He changed from Miss Yu to Yuxia. He walked up to Sheng and asked, Why are you following them? I'm risking my life. Sheng looked up. Her mission was related to the female lead. Who else could she follow but the female lead? Why are you following me? Risking my life? What the hell? Fengchen involuntarily glanced at Sheng's sword. That, Sheng raised his sword and was about to slash. Wait. Fengchen stopped him. Can a girl be more ladylike? I want to talk to you about the third wave. Sheng's iron sword cut the steel bar next to him. The neat cut made Fengchen's heart beat faster. He really wanted it. The third wave. Sheng withdrew his sword and said arrogantly, I will kill 1 if 1 comes. I will kill 2 if 2 come. Fengchen. Who gave you the confidence? Fengchen hurriedly shook off those strange thoughts and said seriously, I've only experienced 1 world where I was forcibly upgraded. You've upgraded twice in a row. Who knows what will happen in this world? Let's work together. He had a premonition that going against this woman would not end well, so it was better to stand on her side. Anyway, she didn't look like a good person. No, Sheng refused. Why? She actually rejected him. He was so powerful, yet she actually rejected him. Sheng looked at him from head to toe. I don't want any burdens. Don't bring any burdens. A burden bottle. Fengchen was so angry that he attacked without thinking. Sheng was very excited when it came to fighting. Moreover, this man was very good at fighting, so it was very satisfying to fight with him. Therefore, the 2 burdens started fighting at the back. Aimi and the others. Why are these 2 fighting again? Fengchen was beaten up. In the end, he relied on his black card skill to barely survive. Sheng had a stomachache. This pervert's teleportation skill was uncontrollable. After the fight, Aimi and the others were almost out of sight. Sheng followed them unhurriedly, and Fengchen lagged behind. Although Sheng didn't bring him, he could follow them by himself. When Sheng met the third group of people for the first time, he was shocked by them. They didn't look like humans at all. At first glance, they looked like killing machines. As long as they were alive, they would kill them. Moreover, they were even more powerful. In the past, Shisheng could kill a person in a few minutes, but it took him almost 10 minutes to kill these people. With the help of the iron sword, it took her only 10 minutes. Shisheng found several black cards on the bodies. The highest level black card was level 26. The higher the level, the more cold-blooded and heartless they are. Feng Chen had seen this kind of people before. They seem to have been deprived of their emotions. All they have left is killing. Shisheng put away the black cards. Aren't you this kind of person? Feng Chen's expression froze for a moment. Almost. His voice was very soft. If it weren't for the silence, Shisheng wouldn't have heard him. Shisheng pretended not to hear him. Feng Chen suddenly admired this woman. No matter why she didn't ask, she could still maintain her curiosity. Her willpower was incomparable to ordinary people. Do you know where we are right now? Feng Chen took the initiative to start a conversation. I don't want to know, Shisheng replied indifferently. Feng Chen choked. You're so strange. Strange. Was it strange? This was just an insignificant place for her. After she left, it had nothing to do with her. What was there to care about? What was the point of living for someone who couldn't distinguish between reality and virtual reality? Oh, the host is so scary when she's rational. If it were an ordinary person who entered these worlds, their mentality would more or less change. But she was the only one who maintained the mentality that this was a virtual world, that those idiots were all NPCs, and that she was just playing a game. It was so scary. Although Shisheng didn't want to know, Feng Chen still talked to himself. Everyone who comes here bears the burden of sin. Even if their hands are not stained with blood, they have indirectly killed people. They come here to receive punishment. They say that this is atonement for their sins. Only by washing away their sins can they be reincarnated. They called this world the sinful edge. Everyone who came here, whether they were women, children, were guilty. No one was innocent. These things were passed down by word of mouth from people with higher levels. It was said that if one reached the highest level, they could leave this world. But whether it was possible or not, no one had seen it. It was just a legend. But the higher the level, the more cold-blooded they became. It was as if they only knew how to kill. The highest level Feng Chen had ever seen was level 36. That person still scared him when he thought about it. If he hadn't killed a few people at the last moment, and fulfilled the mission requirement, he would have died in that person's hands. 2-star worlds were considered good. Some people would choose to search for special items. But the higher the level, the only rule left was to kill. Because those who were searching for special items were all dead. After Feng Chen finished speaking, he waited for Shisheng's reaction. Shisheng didn't want to say anything, but after hearing Feng Chen talk for so long, he moved his mouth. Boring. She only saw the malicious intent of the person who set the rules. Making people kill in these worlds. How could it be to wash away their sins? Feng Chen. She actually said that it was boring. Did she even know where she was? Feng Chen took a deep breath. Don't you want to go out? Why should I go out? Shisheng blinked. I think it's quite good here. I can do whatever I want. I can kill whenever I want. In the past, people always called him a pervert. But today, it seemed that this woman was the real pervert. He was silent for a while, and his voice suddenly lowered. You will get tired of this kind of life. Chapter 857. I've done a lot of boring things. This is nothing. Shisheng harumphed. Everyone has to find some fun in their lives. Enjoy yourself while you can. Who knows when you'll die? It seems like you don't have any worries in the outside world. Only those who had no worries could treat this world as a paradise. Shisheng tilted his head. Do you really think you can get out? According to the plot of the novel, the creator of this world was definitely up to no good. Even if someone reached the highest level, they wouldn't be able to get out. Of course, this was only her conclusion, but it didn't stop her from thinking about the worst-case scenario. Feng Chen held on to a sliver of hope. Maybe I can? Shisheng's face was full of evil. Then you might as well kill yourself. Maybe you'll find out that this is just a dream. The bit of emotion that Fang Chen had managed to muster was shattered by Shi Sheng's words. Before, I didn't understand how a little girl like you could make the world level up by one galaxy. But now I do. I can even summon the dragon god. Shi Sheng rolled his eyes. What bad things have you done in the outside world? Fang Chen was suddenly curious. At this moment, Fang Chen was not only curious about the sword, but also about Shi Sheng. He hadn't met such a strange person in a long time. When she didn't speak, she looked like a delicate girl who could be poked to death with a finger. But when you poked her, you would find that she was covered in thorns. If you poked her, she would definitely poke you to death. Even if she didn't kill you, she would torture you until you were half dead. He was a living example. If she had a hard time, you wouldn't have a good time either. Shi Sheng thought for a moment. Killing. The original owner's profession was an assassin. Killing was a common thing for her. But when it came to the bad things she had done, Scumbag Sheng said that there were too many to count. Writing a novel would take tens of millions of words. They didn't talk for long. When they encountered the third wave of monsters, AI Me and the others also encountered them. And there was more than one. After Shi Sheng and the others dealt with them, the other side was still fighting fiercely. Shi Sheng found a vantage point and squatted down. He took out some sunflower seeds and watched the battle below. Aren't you worried? Fang Chen couldn't help but say. These people are all here for you. What are you afraid of? Shi Sheng spat out the shell of the sunflower seed and said, if the third group did as you said and killed everyone they saw, then the second group would definitely form an alliance with the first group. When the time comes, it will be a battle between the two groups. They won't have time to catch me. Fang Chen. Although he felt that something was off, her analysis seemed to be quite reasonable. No. Aren't you afraid that they'll form an alliance to capture you? Although the third wave of people looked like killing machines, they were still rational. Shi Sheng smiled confidently. Come on then. You make it sound like I'm afraid of them. Fang Chen was about to choke to the point of suffering internal injuries. Before he could think of a way to respond, he heard the young lady say arrogantly, just nice, I'll take all their heads in one go. Fang Chen. In terms of bragging skills, he was convinced. AI Me and Su Yuan's relationship had been developing rapidly recently. At this time, they had already developed a tacit understanding and worked together to kill one person. Fang Chen thought that Shi Sheng was just here to watch the show, but as she watched, she suddenly walked towards the tall building next to them. Fang Chen stood in place and didn't follow. About a few minutes later, a flapping sound came from behind the building. Then, an overwhelming number of dark elves flew out. Fang Chen. I'm still here. Don't you know how to warn me if you want to do something like this? Even if there's no camaraderie, at least have some camaraderie. If Shi Sheng knew camaraderie, then she wouldn't be Shi Sheng. As soon as the dark elves came out, they went straight to AI Me and the others. After all, there was more food there, and Fang Chen only had one, so it wasn't enough for everyone. Fang Chen took the opportunity to run into the building next to them. Following the direction that Shi Sheng had just left, he found a certain girl who was squatting in a corner and watching the show. Why do you have to go against them? Fang Chen was puzzled. With her ability, she could live well in this world. Why did she have to follow those people in front of her? Why was she looking for trouble? If she really wanted to kill them, she could just do it directly. Why did she have to go through so much trouble? Shi Sheng was eating sunflower seeds. I don't like them. Both the male and female leads were not pleasing to the eye. That's how willful they were. Fang Chen didn't want to talk to this pervert Shi Sheng. He looked at the battlefield. AI Me and the others could only run in the face of so many dark elves. Shi Sheng clapped his hands and stood up. He took out his iron sword and went downstairs. Where are you going? To kill birds. Fang Chen thought that after he told Shi Sheng everything, even if Shi Sheng didn't treat him as a comrade, he wouldn't draw his sword without saying a word. Obviously, Fang Chen overestimated his status. Shi Sheng didn't treat him differently. He still had to draw his sword when he needed to. Shi Sheng wouldn't show mercy to a pervert who wanted to steal his sword. If Fang Chen didn't run fast enough, he would have been cut into pieces and fed to the birds. Shi Sheng was still behind AI Me, trying to find ways to level up. Shisheng was addicted to leveling up and summoning world bosses. He probably didn't remember what he wanted to do. In the 3-star world, not only were there more players who looked like killing machines, but the weather also became unpredictable. The sky was gray and it rained whenever it wanted. The rain was highly corrosive. Humans couldn't walk in such a heavy rain. If you didn't find a place to hide when it rained, you would only be left with a pool of blood when the rain stopped. However, the rain was very nutritious for man-eating plants. Before it rained, they were still seedlings. After it rained, they might become adults. In addition to man-eating mushrooms and man-eating flowers, Shisheng also saw man-eating plants, man-eating trees, man-eating vines. Anyway, as long as it was a plant, they would eat people. What is that? Shisheng heard the scream in front of him. He looked up and saw a huge tree standing in the ruins with countless vines. It had pink flowers and its crown was pink. Peach blossoms. Shisheng raised his eyebrows. Such a huge peach tree must have something to level up. Shisheng's hands started to itch again. However, before she could go up, the peach tree that was still standing just now suddenly collapsed, and the flowers on the tree withered in an instant. After the peach tree fell, Shisheng's black card started to move. She took it out and a frame was projected into the air. Player by Chi's level is too high. Her world level will be raised to 4-star. Attention all players. Shisheng. Which idiot was Bai Qi? She actually dared to steal her job? Didn't she say she would be left alone to show off? Asterisk little fairy, daily votes please. Cherub nope. Little fairy. Don't you love me anymore? Cherub yes. Little fairy. Please love me deeply. Cherub. How deep? Little fairy. I'll love you as deeply as you are. System. Demon spirit. I want to call the police. Someone is driving here. Demon spirit. Black man with a question mark face. What does it have to do with me? Chapter 858. Shisheng wanted to see who was trying to steal his job, so he rushed over with his sword. Ai Me and the others thought that Shisheng was here to pick a fight, so they stared at her warily. However, she just walked past them quickly without looking at them. Shisheng didn't see anyone when he reached the place where the peach tree had collapsed. He only found a few words carved on the ground at the root of the tree. Long time no see. Long time no see. Long time no see again. Mubai that idiot. Shisheng hadn't admired someone so much in a long time. He still had the courage to provoke him after committing suicide. Shisheng had to give him a thumbs up. Those with perseverance and patience would definitely achieve great things. Fengchen appeared beside Shisheng like a ghost. He looked down at the words on the ground. Who is this for? It's not for you. Fengchen chuckled. That's lucky. Luckily it's not for me. He paused. You know white chess? He knew about white chess, but he had never seen him before. He heard that he was very good looking, so he remembered him immediately. What does it have to do with you? One who was unaccountably solicitous was hiding evil intentions. Fengchen shrugged. He wanted to tell her some information, but since she said so, he shouldn't poke his nose into other people's business. It would be great if she died. The sword would belong to him. Fengchen felt that he was really smart. White chess was a name in the storyline. It was also a world boss, but he didn't expect that idiot Mubai to take it. Gathering all the world bosses was not a dream. After the 4-star world was opened, Shisheng realized that there were more people on the map. They were the kind that could be seen everywhere. These people weren't like the third batch who only knew how to kill. Many of them were new and ignorant of the rules. Of course, there were also people with higher levels. This world was more like a hunting ground, and the new people who were thrown in were the prey. Don't kill me. I beg you, don't kill me. Save me, someone save me, I don't want to die. Shisheng walked past the scene of the massacre indifferently. She stepped on the blood on the ground, but she didn't react. The sentries on the street looked at her warily. From time to time, roaring laughter could be heard, vicious and twisted. After sizing up the Shisheng, the guard suddenly shouted inside. Boss, there's a girl and a gigolo here. Pretty boy Fengchen. How did he get shot when he was lying down? On second thought, These people were quite unlucky to have taken a fancy to this woman. A group of people walked out and quickly blocked the Shisheng's way. A strong man with a beard pushed the people aside and walked over. His eyes were full of lust. "Little girl, are you alone?" Shisheng glanced at the burly man. "Are you blind? Can't you see such a big group of us?" The burly man was stunned and looked around. "Little girl, don't lie to me. Why do I only see you?" Fangchen. Wasn't he a human? Also, where was the large group of people that she mentioned? Why was the conversation between the two so strange? Shisheng raised her eyebrows, put her hands on her waist and said fiercely, "There are so many of us, but you only see me. What are you trying to do? Are you looking for trouble?" The burly man. He really only saw her and ignored the gigolo. But looking at the little girls, "I have someone" attitude, the burly man was a little uncertain. Could this be a ghost? "Did you see her?" The burly man turned his head and asked the men beside him. The men were also confused and shook their heads to show that they didn't see anything. "This little girl is lying to us. She's alone. There's no group of people." One of the braver men stepped forward and said, "Do you want to fight? Come on." Shisheng rolled up her sleeves. After rolling up her sleeves, Shisheng pulled out her sword and slashed at the other party before they could react. The first to suffer was the man who said that Shisheng was lying to them. When the burly man saw that his man was dead, his disdainful eyes immediately turned sharp. "Catch her. I want her alive. Bah, you be *tzich. How dare you attack me? Today, I will show you what it means to be powerful." Shisheng's lips curled into a smile. He quickly rushed forward and closed in on the burly man. Shisheng's speed was fast to begin with. With the black card skills, this group of people was no match for Shisheng. In the blink of an eye, Shisheng took them down. The number of people on the leaderboard rose rapidly. In the end, only the burly man was left standing. "You." The burly man no longer had the aura of a bandit. His face was ashen as he looked at Shisheng in disbelief. "Haven't you heard of my name?" Shisheng looked at the burly man with a smile, his pink lips moving. "I'm Yuxia." "You Yuxia?" Of course he had heard of Yuxia. He was part of the second batch of people who came in, so he knew about the rumors about Yuxia. This woman forcibly raised the galaxy to 2 stars, and then from 2 stars to 3 stars. Everyone said that this woman was not to be trifled with. But there were countless people who wanted to kill her. The burly man turned and ran. Before he could run 10 meters, he suddenly felt a chill on his back. He fell forward and fell into a pile of rubble. Shisheng walked forward slowly and pulled his iron sword back. He shook the blood off the blade and looked at the burly man who was still breathing. Yuxia." The burly man stretched out his trembling hand. He didn't know what he was trying to grab, but in the end he only grabbed a handful of air, and his hand fell limply. Shisheng said faintly, "If you want to kill me, you have to learn how to save your own life first. Looks like I'll have the chance to kill you one day." Shisheng snorted. "I'm looking forward to the day you kill me. I'm just afraid that you won't even be able to touch a corner of my clothes." Fangchen. "You're going to get beaten up for being so arrogant." Shisheng began to search these people's black cards. Someone carefully poked her head out from behind the rubble. She looked around carefully and her eyes finally fell on Shisheng, who was searching for black cards. After searching everyone, Shisheng slowly got up, and his eyes fell on the person who was peeping at him. Her blonde hair was covered in dirt, and her original color was almost unrecognizable. Her blue eyes seemed to be shrouded in a layer of darkness, and there was only despair left in them. This person was Miao Miao, who had been separated from him. "You." She opened her mouth and her voice was hoarse. "Sister Yuxia. Where's Pei Jin?" Shisheng's eyes were calm, as if he didn't see Miao Miao's sorry state. "Brother Pei." Miao Miao seemed to have difficulty speaking and needed to gasp for breath. Brother Pei is dead. I want to say something here. First of all, thank you for supporting me. But I want to remind Cherub that you can say whatever you want in this book, but don't say it outside. Please tell me first if you have something to say. Don't start a fight without saying a word. You have to control yourself and be graceful. You're so cute, you'll definitely be graceful. Ha ha ha. Thank you, cherub. Chapter 859. Pei Jin and Miao Miao had been lucky enough to survive after being separated from Shisheng. But after 2 levels, Pei Jin's level couldn't keep up. He had run into the same group of people, and had been killed in order to protect Miao Miao. Miao Miao hadn't run far before she was caught. They hadn't killed her because she was pretty. But Shisheng took out a clean set of clothes from his space for Miao Miao to change into. There was no way she could wash her hair. After changing, Miao Miao sat in silence. There were still some marks on her neck and arms. After a while Miao Miao said, "Thank you." Shisheng gave her a strange look. "Why are you thanking me? Don't you think it's because of me that the world ended up like this?" Miao Miao crossed her arms, as if that would give her a sense of security. "I know, but you killed them for me. If it were me, I wouldn't have been able to kill them." She couldn't even save herself, let alone avenge Pei Jin. Deep down, she was resentful. It was because of her that the world ended up like this. If it hadn't turned out like this, Brother Pei wouldn't have died. But what was the use of that? Brother Pei was dead. And she had killed the people who had killed Brother Pei. Shisheng didn't quite understand this girl's thoughts. Live well. Pei Jin cared about this girl. Otherwise, he wouldn't have let her escape even if he had been caught. Miao Miao looked up. Her face was pale and her lips had lost their color. She swallowed with difficulty. "Can I follow you?" "Follow me for what?" Miao Miao licked her lips and said word by word. "I can live with you. I want to live." Shisheng rested his chin on his hand, his voice still light. "If you want to live, you have to do whatever it takes. Are you sure you can kill people?" Miao Miao looked confused for a moment. Then she thought of something and nodded firmly. Shisheng didn't say anything. Miao Miao took it as Shisheng had agreed. When she left, she followed him. Fangchen was even more confused. "Didn't you say you didn't want to bring a burden? Isn't this girl a burden?" Shisheng glanced at him coldly. "I'm happy to. Fangchen. You're the boss, you have the final say." Miao Miao was a mixed blood. Before coming to this world, she accidentally pushed her stepmother down the stairs. Her stepmother could have survived, but she didn't call for help. Instead, she watched her stepmother die. She hated her stepmother the most. In front of other people, she was a gentle and lovely cherub, but in front of her stepmother, she was a little demon controlled by evil. Of course, it was Fangchen who asked for the information. The Shisheng would never ask about such private gossip. Fangchen suddenly asked, "Do you regret it?" Shisheng gave him a sideways glance. "No." Miao Miao shook its head firmly. "She stole my daddy and killed my mother. She deserves it. But you came to this world because of this. Do you really not regret it at all?" Fangchen continued to ask. Miao Miao hesitated for a moment before shaking its head. Fangchen turned to look at Shisheng with a complicated look in his eyes. "I've asked many people, and none of them regretted what they had done. So what's your conclusion?" Once a person firmly believed in something, it was very difficult to change their mind. Fangchen didn't know what conclusion he had drawn. Was it because they didn't repent that they were sent here to experience such cruel things? Fangchen leaned in Shisheng's direction. "Do you think there really is a God? Only God could do such things, right? God was punishing those who didn't repent and were full of sins." He had heard this saying from many high-ranking people. The closer one was to a killing machine, the more they believed in this saying. They believed that those people were sinful, and that they were only eliminating those who had sinned. They were God's apostles and would be redeemed by God in the future. "Why should I tell you?" Shisheng replied in an irritating tone. Fangchen was speechless. There was no way to continue this conversation. Shisheng and Fangchen were delayed for a while. By the time they caught up with Ai Me and the others, it was already dark. Unfortunately, it had started to rain, and there was only one place in front of them to take shelter from the rain. Ai Me and the others went in before Shisheng. Shisheng went over, but 2 of them stood out to block Shisheng. "You can't come in here." Shisheng raised his eyebrows. "Why? Let's stop here," one of them said with a frown. "Who would want to stay with such a pervert?" Shisheng was furious. "Did you write your name on it? You want to occupy this place?" Do you want to fight? We occupied this place first. Haven't you learned that first come, first served? Shisheng waved his iron sword. I also know that the one with the bigger fist has the final say. Yusya, don't go too far. The other girl beside Aimi rushed over. We were the ones who took this place first. Don't you have any shame? Oh. Shisheng was surprised. I don't. What the hell is shame? Does she have that kind of thing? You. Aimi pressed down on the girl's shoulder and pulled her back. Let her in. The two people blocking the way were confused. Aimi. Aimi shook her head slightly. There was a hint of warning in her eyes. The two people reluctantly moved aside. Shisheng took a step back and asked with a smile. Why don't we all take a shower together? Shisheng took out 2 raincoats from his space. He put one on Meow Meow and the other on himself. Then he pulled Meow Meow out into the rain. The rain fell on the raincoats, but it didn't corrode them at all. Fangchen. What about me? But Shisheng ignored him as she swung her sword towards Aimi. Those who hadn't understood Shisheng's words now understood what was going on. This lunatic. Yusya. Aimi roared. Shisheng swung his iron sword. The rain was split apart by the sword energy and swept toward them. The pressure was crushing toward them from the front. Out of the way. Aimi was the first to react. She shouted to remind everyone who hadn't recovered from the shock. Everyone finally woke up and dodged to the side. The sword energy hit the building and split it into pieces. Cracks began to appear on the supporting pillar beside it. Along with a series of cracking noises, the entire pillar was covered with spider-like cracks. The weak pillars couldn't support such a huge building. In an instant, the pillar collapsed and became a pile of rubble. Raindrops fell on the ruins, creating puffs of white smoke. Fangchen used some method to block the rain, but he didn't look good. This woman was terrifying when she was ruthless. Once again, he was glad that he had chosen her sword and not her life. Chapter 860. Someone crawled out of the ruins. The rain from the sky was so corrosive that he couldn't bear it and screamed. The scream pierced through the sky and was scattered by the sound of the rain, which made it even more eerie and terrifying. Aimi was in Suan Yuan's arms. Suan Yuan had a card in his hand. Shisheng saw a faint layer of light around them, which stood out in the darkness. It shrouded them in it and blocked the rain. Shisheng turned to look at Fangchen. Fangchen had the same card in his hand. What kind of skill card is this? It's so awesome. Why don't I have it? I can't accept it. Yusya. Aimi gritted her teeth. She wanted to kill this woman. Shisheng tilted his head slightly and tried to persuade her. Don't be so angry. We're enemies. It's either you die or I live. You have to be magnanimous. How could she not be angry? Her companions. Yusya, I won't let you go. Aimi's eyes were red. If Suan Yuan hadn't held her back, she would have rushed over. What's the use of talking? Kill her if you can. Shisheng spun the iron sword and suddenly swung it in their direction. Suan Yuan's expression changed and his muscles tensed up. However, there was no other sound in the air except for the pitter-patter of the rain. Shisheng stabbed the iron sword into the ground and said arrogantly, You want to kill me with this little courage? Go back and train your courage. Aimi glared in Shisheng's direction as she did her best to calm down the anger that was rising within her. She couldn't be angry in front of this psychopath. She had to calm down to deal with her. Shisheng stood there for a while, not knowing what she was thinking. She did not see when Fangchen came near Suan Yuan. When she saw him, Fangchen had already attacked Suan Yuan. Shisheng. Why is there always someone stealing my job? What's the grudge between Fangchen and Suan Yuan? Fangchen and Suan Yuan's grudge was a long story. Anyway, they were sworn enemies and they couldn't see each other. Fangchen didn't make a move before because he felt it wasn't the right time. But now that he had such a good opportunity, if he didn't make a move, then he would be a little retarded. Suan Yuan had to take care of Aimi while fighting Fangchen, so he was always at a disadvantage. Fangchen probably saw that Suan Yuan cared about Aimi, so he changed his target. Suan Yuan gave the card to Aimi and pushed her away. Fangchen's combat power was not bad. With the help of the black card, he was actually quite impressive. Suan Yuan was at a disadvantage before, but without AI Me, the two of them were actually neck and neck when they fought. All kinds of black card skills flew around, and dazzling lights flashed in the darkness from time to time. Bang! Someone seemed to have been kicked away. The black shadow smashed onto the ground and groaned in pain. There was a faint light in the darkness, and Shisheng saw who was lying on the ground. Feng Chen was lying on a pile of rubble, surrounded by steel bars. Suan Yuan held a scythe in his hand and approached Feng Chen step by step. It was unknown when the heavy rain had stopped, but the surroundings were silent. Cough, cough. Feng Chen clutched his chest, feeling a little indignant. He had actually lost. Feng Chen turned his head to look at Shisheng, who was still standing there without any reaction. Sister Yu Xia. Miao Miao shook Shisheng's hand and sounded a little anxious. Probably because she was afraid of Shisheng. She looked a little pitiful. What are you doing? Shisheng glared at Miao Miao. Miao Miao pointed at Feng Chen, pursed her lips and didn't speak. You won't die. Why are you so anxious? She dared to use an iron sword, so Feng Chen definitely had a trump card. Miao Miao didn't dare to speak under Shisheng's glare. She could only look over there nervously. Feng Chen did have a trump card. Under normal circumstances he wouldn't use it, but now he had to use it. He quickly took out a black card. The black card swiped in the air in front of him, and the whole space seemed to be torn apart, expanding into a circular black hole. The black hole pushed toward Suan Yuan like lightning, and Suan Yuan's figure suddenly disappeared into the black hole. After Suan Yuan's figure disappeared, the black card in Feng Chen's hand broke into pieces and slipped from his hand. This kind of card could only be used once. The black hole didn't destroy Suan Yuan. It just sent him to another place. Feng Chen's eyes were a little regretful, but at the same time he was relieved. It hurt his butt hurt. The place where he sat was a pit full of corrosive water. He felt like his butt was going to disappear. Feng Chen took off his jacket and stood up shakily. Instinctively he looked at the person in the distance. Miss you, it's not a good habit to leave someone in the lurch. No one answered him. Just when Feng Chen thought that she had left, a faint voice came from the side. Aren't you still alive? What are you blabbering about if you're not dead? What was the point of leaving someone in the lurch? He was lucky that she didn't finish him off. Feng Chen was furious. What was she talking about? If he was really dead, would he still be blabbering? That's because I was lucky. Luck is also a part of strength, but usually luck belonged to the male and female protagonists. It had nothing to do with cannon fodder like them. Feng Chen was lucky this time. When Suan Yuan came back he would be in trouble. Of course, Shisheng wouldn't tell him this. Feng Chen was speechless. If she didn't want to save him, so be it. He was already used to it. He wouldn't blame her. Where's that woman? Shisheng took out a flashlight from his space and shone it in the direction of where Ai Mi was standing. She ran away. Feng Chen. Was this woman a treasure bag? How could she take out everything? Feng Chen came down from the ruins. His butt hurt. He grimaced and asked, "Do you have a space card?" He had only seen a space card once, but that card was in the hands of a high-level person. He didn't have the guts to snatch it. Shisheng suddenly turned the flashlight to Feng Chen's face and shone it directly into his eyes. What are you doing? Feng Chen dodged to the side. Can you afford to pay for my blindness? Shisheng replied calmly. If you can't afford to pay for it, you can just kill him. Feng Chen. Couldn't he have a proper conversation? You haven't answered my question. Shisheng moved the flashlight away and shone it around. His voice was still calm. If you think I have it, then I have it. If you think I don't, then I don't. As long as you're happy. Feng Chen. What was the point of being happy? He wanted to be alone. Ouch. His butt hurt. Miao Miao, help me up. Feng Chen reached out to Miao Miao. His fingers touched Miao Miao's raincoat. There was still some rainwater on it. Feng Chen reached out, and a sizzling sound was heard. Ouch. It hurt. Brother Feng Chen. Miao Miao took off her raincoat and held Feng Chen up. Feng Chen just wanted to find a place to check if his butt was still there. He felt his legs trembling. Asterisk function. I just want to see if my butt is still there. System. Someone is driving. Function. Why am I driving? System. You said butt. Function. You don't have a butt? System. I don't have one. Function. Chapter 861. Function hopped around and found a place to rest. He ran to the back of the room to massage his butt. However, he realized that he could not see what was going on behind him. This was King awkward. There was a woman outside, a young girl. What should he do? Brother Fengchen? You haven't finished applying the medicine yet? Sister Yuxia has finished all the food. Fengchen was speechless. This pervert even took away his food. Meow meow. Fengchen said weakly. Can you do me a favor? Meow meow stood outside and nodded seriously. Brother Fengchen, what is it? Fengchen scratched the wall. How could he say this? He was a virgin. How could he say something like this? It's okay. Fengchen sighed. He had to do it himself. Fengchen shuddered at the thought of leaving something untreated. Wait, meow meow. Brother Fengchen? He wants you to apply medicine for him. Shisheng's voice sounded from outside. There was a hint of disdain in his voice. Ignore him. He had been waiting for a long time. This was asking for his life. This woman was indeed vicious. I can help Brother Fengchen. Fengchen wanted to give Meow Meow a hug. This was what a normal person would think. This was the kindness that a young girl should have. His injury is on his butt. Do you want to see his butt? Then forget it. Brother Fengchen, you can do it yourself. Fengchen was speechless. Didn't you say you would help me? Meow meow, don't listen to her nonsense. Meow meow. Meow meow. Fengchen called out a few times but no one responded to him. Fengchen was furious. Yuxia, I won't let you off. Fengchen spent a few hours inside. He felt his way around to remove the corroded flesh before he could use the healing card. If he did not have the healing card, he would have died. Ever since this incident, the atmosphere between Fengchen and Shisheng, which had eased a little, became tense again. They both disliked each other and secretly wanted to kill each other. Of course, Fengchen wanted the iron sword more. After all, his original goal was to get the iron sword. The atmosphere in this team was very strange. Ever since the female lead escaped, Shisheng could only kill time by leveling up and torturing Fengchen. But when she leveled up, that idiot white chess would secretly level up as well. Each of them leveled up by 1 star, as if they were competing to see who was better. In the blink of an eye, he had leveled up from 4 stars to 8 stars. The highest level of players had reached level 80. Fengchen had never seen anyone who could level up so quickly. This world was about to be ruined. Just like Fengchen had said, level 80 players only knew how to kill. They had completely lost all human emotions. They were like machines that only knew how to carry out orders. Their orders were to kill all living things. By the time they reached the 8-star world, the first batch of players who had entered would probably have already died. Anyway, Shisheng didn't see any familiar names on the ranking list. Even Suan Yuan's name wasn't there. She was ranked first, followed by White. The 3rd to 5th place were all world bosses. Gathering all the world bosses wasn't a dream. Fengchen was ranked 10th. Fengchen couldn't play Shisheng's high-class game, but he coveted Shisheng's sword, so he followed Shisheng all the time. When they fought, he could pick up the scraps. Fengchen felt that his worldview had been refreshed over and over again. Every time, he opened the door to a new world. He never knew that this game could be played like this. There seemed to be something wrong. Brother Fengchen. Meow Meow passed the food to Fengchen. I secretly left this for you. Sister Yuxia doesn't know. Fengchen came back to his senses and looked over at Shisheng. She was holding stones that he didn't know where she got them, and was throwing them out one by one. At this time, the ground outside was full of worms. They were white and tender, curled up into a ball. They looked delicious. Bah, delicious my ass. These things also ate people. If people ate enough of them, they could even evolve wings. It didn't matter if others had seen them or not. He had never seen such worms. And at this time, that woman was provoking the worms outside. She was crazy. Is there something wrong with her brain? Feng Chen tapped his temple. Miao Miao glanced over at Shisheng and answered seriously. Sister Yuxia said it was boring. Feng Chen's mouth twitched. She was so bored that she would torture other people's worms? That was enough. Every time a world leveled up, strange things would appear in this world. These worms appeared when the world was 6-star. Their attack pattern was a bit like those mushrooms. Now the dark elves were at the bottom of the food chain. Shisheng saw the dark elves being chased all over the sky by a kind of bone bird. The bone bird was very appropriate for its name. It was a skeleton with no flesh and no hair. It was completely unknown how it survived. Feng Chen said that it was a spirit bird, something that only appeared in the spirit world. Shisheng was provoking the worms alone, while Feng Chen and Miao Miao were talking. Yuxia. Feng Chen suddenly called out to Shisheng. What? Someone's coming. If they're coming, go kill them. Why are you calling me? Shisheng rolled his eyes. His hands were sore and he didn't want to kill anyone. She just wanted to kill that idiot Mu Bai. But that idiot was very cunning. Every time she was about to find him, he would do something. By the time she went over, he was already gone. No, come over and see. Feng Chen stood at the opposite window, his voice urgent. Shisheng raised his eyebrows and walked over to Feng Chen. From Feng Chen's direction, he could see a large group of people coming from afar. It was really a large group. There were at least 1,000 people. The people in this world had been released several times, so there were actually a lot of people. But they had never seen such a large group of people. Shisheng leaned against the window, his expression unchanged. This world's group has been formed. After a long time, she slowly spat out a sentence. Feng Chen understood what Shisheng meant. With so many big shots in the same world at the same time, how could they not form groups? Thinking about how he used to be a terrifying person, he was now a small fry in the presence of a big one. His current fame couldn't even be compared to the woman in front of him. Shisheng raised his eyebrows and asked Feng Chen, "Don't you plan to recruit some people?" This idiot was also a boss. Look at her flashy group, then look at him. She despised him. What was she despising him for? What for? To fight. Otherwise, to warm your bed? Warm his bed. Now that everyone's life was in danger, who would have the time to think about such things? Feng Chen glared at Shisheng. Why don't you recruit people? I can handle these people by myself. Why should I recruit people? Shisheng answered confidently, his tone extremely arrogant. Feng Chen gritted his teeth. He really wanted to hit her. But what if he couldn't win? Feng Chen looked away. He felt like he was going to explode from anger when he talked to her. They're coming this way. I saw it. Do I need you to tell me? Aren't I reminding you? Chapter 862. While the two of them were bickering, the huge team had already reached the bottom. The place where they were standing was very conspicuous, and there was no cover. The people below could see them at a glance, but they had to deal with the bugs first before they could go over. Shisheng watched them deal with the bugs skillfully. Several of them worked together and cooperated well. It was obvious that this team was not formed randomly. However, some of these people fought alone, and they were similar to killing machines. They can control high-level players, Shisheng murmured. High-level players never formed groups, they were all lone wolves. I've heard of a black card that can turn people into their puppets, Feng Chen explained. Feng Chen explained from the side. He glanced at the huge team and concluded, the leader of this team should have a puppet card. Shisheng cracked her knuckles. He could increase his collection rate again. Seeing the eager state of the people next door, Feng Chen was a little confused. Didn't you say that you didn't want to fight? Can't I think about it now? Shisheng drew his sword. Women are so fickle. The people below had just finished dealing with the bugs when two black figures jumped down from upstairs. They didn't even say anything and started killing. When they realized what was going on, many of their people were already lying on the ground. Shisheng could easily kill a bunch of them with a swing of his sword. If she had spiritual energy, she could kill this group of people with a swing of her hand. At the back of the team, a woman was lying on a chair. Her facial features were quite delicate, But somehow, they looked a little ugly together. The woman was playing with a black card that was as black as ink in her hand. The level on the card could be vaguely seen. LV80. Boss, bad news. 2 people in front killed many of our people. One of them pushed away the subordinates surrounding the woman and rushed in hurriedly. The woman raised her thick eyebrows. 2 people. The person who reported nodded vigorously. 2 people. That woman looks a little like the legendary Yuxia. Yuxia? The woman sat up straight and asked in a hoarse voice. Are you sure it's her? I'm not very sure, but she has a very powerful sword in her hand. It's similar to the rumors. Yuxia's image in the outside world was that she had a very powerful sword. The woman put away the black card. Let's go and take a look. The woman led a few people to the front of the group. Shisheng was killing people as fast as a rocket. In just a short while, he had already killed a lot of people. Stop. The woman yelled. She stopped, but Shisheng didn't. In the blink of an eye, he knocked down the person who had stopped just now. I will stop just because you tell me to. Dream on. The woman didn't expect Shisheng to react like this. After a while, she raised her eyebrows and said, Yuxia, who ranks first, is so petty. Magnanimity? What was that? I didn't. Shisheng continued to hack people. Yuxia, stop. I need to talk to you. The woman raised her voice. Don't talk about it. What was there to talk about between 2 women? They couldn't be lesbians. Continue slashing people. The woman originally thought that she could control the situation. However, when Shisheng didn't listen at all, things were going in a direction that she couldn't predict. Seeing more and more people fall, the woman didn't feel any heartache. Her people were at the back. If these puppets died, she could just get a new batch. Yuxia, I don't have any grudges against you. Why are you targeting me? No one is a good person. You're being funny. Shisheng took the time to reply. In this world, if you're not targeting me, then I'm targeting you. What's the point? The woman was rendered speechless by Shisheng's words. No one was a good person. Was there a good person among the people who came here? The woman took out the black card and stared at Shisheng eerily. She had originally wanted to recruit her, but now, she would just become her puppet. The woman activated the black card. There seemed to be an invisible thread coming out of the black card. It quickly wrapped around Shisheng. It wrapped around her wrist and went all the way to her neck. Shisheng felt the power of control. A voice came from the distant sky. Your master is called Zhongqing. Your master is called Zhongqing. She kept repeating this sentence. Shisheng frowned. His calm eyes looked at the woman behind the crowd. She wanted to control her with such a low-level puppet technique? King retard. She's insulting my level. Zhongqing had been observing Shisheng the entire time. The expression on her face didn't fluctuate much. Needless to say, her eyes didn't reveal any emotion at all. When she met them, she only felt a chill run down her spine. She couldn't control her. She was already level 80. Was her level higher than hers? Those people in the high-level world were actually brainwashed and turned into puppets. The reason why Zhongqing did not become a killing machine like the others was because she had a puppet card in her hand. Logically speaking, her current level should be the highest in this world. Why didn't it work on her? Before Zhongqing could figure out the reason, the little brother beside her was suddenly hit by something. Her vision darkened. A figure landed in front of her. A smiling face appeared in her eyes. You want to control me? That's a great wish. Zhongqing took a step back in horror. Cold sweat covered her entire body. She pushed the people around her. Kill her. Kill her for me. Shisheng snorted and slashed with his sword again. Zhongqing relied on her puppet card. She had a high level and could control many people. However, her actual combat ability was trash. Against a player like Shisheng, who didn't play by the rules, Zhongqing could only kneel. Zhongqing saw that the situation was not good. She quickly ran back. The others saw that Zhongqing had run away. Why would they stay? They also ran with Zhongqing. Why are you running? Don't you want to talk to me? Let's talk about life. The light voice was scattered by the wind. However, it still fell accurately into Zhongqing's ears. Zhongqing turned her head. and saw that the woman who was slashing people just now was chasing after her on a sword. Who wants to talk to you at a time like this? Stop her. Zhongqing scolded the people beside her. Although these people also wanted to run for their lives, they didn't dare to disobey Zhongqing's abuse of power. They stopped and blocked Shisheng. Shisheng didn't know the rules of fighting. Anyway, he just slashed all the way. I Sheng, am a villain. Of course, I have to act like a villain. A villain who doesn't cause trouble isn't a good villain. A villain who doesn't seek death isn't a good villain. So don't tell me that this female lead is simply crazy. She has a problem to begin with. She has a problem, a problem, a problem is a problem. I said it at the beginning. If you don't like it, you can change it. Why make things difficult for yourself? You have your likes and dislikes and I have mine. Everyone is fine. Chapter 863. Zhongqing didn't dare to look back. She ran all the way forward. She didn't know how long she had run, but there was no sound behind her. She slowly slowed down and looked back. She only saw rows upon rows of ruins, and it was very quiet behind her. Zhongqing stopped and panted with her hands on her knees. Her heart was beating so fast that it felt like it was going to jump out. Ever since she entered the game and became a high-level player, she had never been in such a sorry state. Yuxia. Zhongqing's eyes were fierce, but there was some fear deep in her heart. She was afraid of that woman. Do you want to take revenge? Zhongqing abruptly raised her head and looked around. It was still empty, and there was no one in sight. No one. No. Where were her subordinates? There were a few who ran with her just now. Do you want to take revenge? Who's talking? Come out. Zhongqing shouted. Do you want to take revenge? The voice gradually became clear, as if it was whispering in her ear. Zhongqing looked around in fear, and a layer of goosebumps appeared on her arms. Who is hiding? Come out if you have the ability. Do you want to take revenge? The voice repeated this sentence. Come out. What do you want to do? Don't think that I'm afraid of you. Come out. Zhongqing's voice was hoarse from shouting, but no one came out. She had disappeared inexplicably, and now there was such an inexplicable voice. Zhongqing felt goosebumps rising from the bottom of her heart. She looked around, swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and continued to run forward with her leaden legs. But no matter how long she ran, the voice followed her like a shadow. Who are you? Zhongqing screamed, breaking down. I can give you a chance to take revenge. The voice finally changed its line. Why? Why do you want to help me? Who are you? The voice replied after a long time. Because I want Yuxia to die. Yuxia, it was her again. When she thought of her sorry state just now, Zhongqing was furious. She clenched her fists. How can you help me? Shisheng didn't chase after Zhongqing. It wasn't that she didn't chase after her, but when she chased after her, she couldn't find her. In order to prevent Feng Chen, that pervert, from taking the black cards, she went back to clean up the battlefield. Feng Chen had already collected all the black cards, and was counting them one by one. 688, 689. After counting the cards, Feng Chen split them in half each. Shisheng glanced at Feng Chen. Feng Chen's arrogance was immediately reduced. You get 60% and I get 40%. That's it. He had put in so much effort today. However, he had to admit that ever since he started following her, the number of black cards on him had been increasing. Shisheng was not convinced. I was the one who killed more than half of them. Why should I get 60% and you get 70%? You have so many. What's wrong with giving me a few more? Feng Chen wanted to act shamelessly. Don't be so stingy. Shisheng put on a fierce expression, and put his hands on his waist. So what if I'm stingy towards someone who always wants to steal my sword? Hurry up and hand it over, or I'll cut you. Feng Chen. Violent maniac. Feng Chen reluctantly gave the black cards to Shisheng. Shisheng took the black cards back to where they were, and gave some to Meow Meow. Meow Meow sat on the ground and followed the method Shisheng had taught her. She fed the black cards to her card one by one. This was a new skill that Shisheng had learned not long ago. High-level black cards could devour low-level black cards. It sounded like a fantasy, but this world was a fantasy, so there was nothing strange about it. Feng Chen looked at Meow Meow feeding the cards with a pained expression. Why did this little girl get to give them to him? This little girl didn't do anything, but she got so much for no reason. Bias. Congratulations to player Meow Meow for reaching level 75. Meow Meow's face lit up. She turned to look at Shisheng. Sister Yuxia, I'm at level 75. Feng Chen shot another arrow in the knee. He was only at level 73, but this little girl was already at level 75. How was he supposed to live? Shisheng threw the rest of the black cards to her. Level up to level 80. Leveling up a black card wasn't like other things, where the effect wouldn't last for a second time. This thing was always effective. The higher the level of the black card, the faster it leveled up. It was like playing a game. Rich players spent money to buy experience pills, while rich players could only level up by killing monsters. Shisheng was definitely a rich player. Meow Meow continued leveling up with the black cards. When she had used up all the black cards, her level had also reached level 80. Congratulations to player Meow Meow for becoming the 10th max level player in this world. Your world level will be raised to level 9. Please be prepared. Feng Chen was speechless. Long wait. He hadn't leveled up yet, but the world leveled up again. How was he supposed to play this game? What made Feng Chen even more frustrated was that a message popped up from the black card. Congratulations to player White Chess for triggering the ultimate mode. Your world level has reached level 10. Feng Chen was speechless. What the hell? Could he choose to die? What's the ultimate mode? Shisheng held the black card. It wasn't clear if he was talking to himself or asking Feng Chen. Feng Chen wasn't familiar with this, so he naturally couldn't answer. At this moment, the sky outside suddenly darkened, and lightning appeared without warning. Countless black shadows descended along with the lightning. They were of all shapes and sizes, and they were all different. As soon as these things landed, they were like lions that had been awakened. They angrily destroyed the things around them, and even fought with those that were close to them. There were also petite humans that landed. Many of them were killed by those monsters before they could even figure out what was going on. What was this? Ultraman fighting against small monsters? You're not playing Plants vs. Zombies anymore? Shisheng looked at the increasing number of black shadows in the distance, dumbfounded. Some of the black shadows had already landed near them, and started destroying the buildings. The only thing left in the world was the rumbling sound. A level 10 world was filled with all kinds of monsters. The biggest monsters were the size of a small mountain, and the smallest ones were the size of a small car. They were genetically mutated. A cat had a dog's head on its body, and a cow had pig's hooves on its body. It was as if they had been thrown into a machine and reassembled. It was a very strange sight. These monsters' target was humans. After fighting at the beginning, they started attacking humans in a unified manner. Meanwhile, humans were still fighting among themselves. The previous star level upgrade had already eliminated those who did not meet the requirements. Those who could survive were either top-notch clingers or perverts with strength. The civil war among the perverts was also very interesting. Shisheng was obsessed with leveling up all day long. He didn't care about others at all. Feng Chen followed behind her. Although his level didn't rise as fast as hers, he was also one of the best. In the past, it was others who followed behind him to take advantage of him. Now, it was him who followed behind others to take advantage of them. The scariest thing was that this person was a woman. Hashtag my host is addicted to leveling up series number 2017. 0109 book review area Little Angel Ching Tong. Requesting votes. Requesting votes. Chapter 864. Because the world level rose too fast. Amy couldn't keep up with this progress at all. At first she could barely keep up, but later it became more and more difficult. This world was full of monsters and her level couldn't survive at all. In order to survive, she had been tortured during this period of time. Sometimes she wondered why she was living. It was so painful that she might as well die. But when she thought of Yuxia, who laughed arrogantly and looked down on everyone, Amy felt that she could hold on. Aimi, what are you thinking? The boss is calling you. A girl next to her patted Aimi on the shoulder and kindly reminded her. Aimi frowned in disgust and looked in another direction. A man over there was looking at her with undisguised eyes. She almost died at the beginning, and it was this man who saved her. This man took advantage of her injury and took advantage of her. Later, he found out that she had a healing card, and her treatment in the team was not bad. But when she thought of this man messing around with her, Aimi wanted to kill him. Aimi took a deep breath, got up and walked towards the man. Boss. Come and sit. The boss patted the side. Aimi endured the disgust and sat down. She lowered her head to block the cold light in her eyes. If she had the strength, she would have killed this man. But his level was too much higher than hers. Even when they were in bed, she couldn't do anything. A sense of humiliation welled up in Aimi's heart. The boss put his hands around Aimi's waist and pulled her into his arms. Why are you unhappy? Who made you angry? Tell me, I'll help you vent. Aimi was quite beautiful, and she had a healing card. Her temperament was better than other women. The boss doted on her very much, and she was the object of jealousy in the team. No, I'm just thinking about Bai Qi and Yu Xia. Aimi's voice was very low. What do you think about them for? The boss was a little unhappy. Those two people would come out to make their presence known every once in a while. They seemed to be very powerful. The boss pondered for a moment and suddenly nodded in agreement. They are very powerful. Aimi's mouth twitched slightly. Hearing this kind of thing, he should jump up and refute. Why did he admit that they were more powerful now? The boss was not stupid. These two people were like a competition. They raised the world level all the way to the 10-star level. If they didn't have real ability, they would have died long ago. Alright, go get me something to eat. Boss patted Aimi's waist and said in a chauvinistic manner, with me here, it's not up to a woman like you to worry about these things. Aimi had goosebumps all over her body. When she heard that she could leave, she didn't bother to say anything else. She quickly got up and left. The people in this world did not have any specific missions. The only thing they had to do was to find food, avoid monsters, and survive. The team Aimi was in wasn't big, but it wasn't small either. They consumed a lot of supplies. At first, it was a distribution, but later on, they each took care of their own things. However, the boss and his women's supplies were managed by specialized people. Aimi went to find someone to get the food, did some simple things, and sent it to the boss. After boss finished eating, Aimi went back and found that her portion had already been eaten. Of the two women beside her, one was tidying her hair, and the other was looking at her with a faint smile. Who ate it? Aimi put down the food in her hand and glanced at them coldly. I don't know, the woman with a faint smile replied. She lifted her pointy chin and said, we didn't see it. Aimi narrowed her eyes. She went forward and grabbed the woman's hair and pressed her against the wall. Aimi, you bitch, let go of me. How dare you hit me? Boss, help, Aimi is going to kill someone. The woman was in pain and scratched at Aimi. Aimi covered the woman's mouth and said, I'll ask again, who ate it? The woman tidying her hair leaned back. She had been taught a lesson by Aimi before and didn't want to be taught a lesson again. The woman struggled with all her might. Aimi, what are you doing? Another girl rushed out from the side and pulled Aimi out. Did you forget what happened last time? How dare you hit me again? If boss sees you, you'll be punished again. Boss hated it when women hit other women. He felt that it was disrespectful to him. His women should respect him and not be jealous. Aimi was already angry. She ate my food. What's wrong with me teaching her a lesson? I'll give you mine. Don't mess with her. The girl looked into the distance nervously. Let go of her first. Aimi didn't want to let go. If you give her face, she'll think you're afraid of her. The woman twisted her limbs and scratched the back of Aimi's hand with her long nails. Seeing that the two were about to fight, the girl who tried to mediate the fight pulled Aimi away. The woman escaped from Aimi's claws and ran to boss to complain. The girl was stunned. She wanted to grab the woman, but the woman ran fast and shouted at the same time. She couldn't stop her at all. Aimi glanced at the girl coldly. The The woman complained to boss and Aimi was punished by boss with no food for 2 days. The girl blamed herself and gave her food to Aimi. Aimi's temper rose and she didn't eat. The team continued to move forward. They met 2 monsters on the way and everyone in the team went to help. Aimi was a healer, so she didn't have to fight. She just stood beside boss. But these 2 monsters weren't easy to deal with. The group couldn't take them down after a long time, so boss had to do it himself. Aimi and the other women were hiding from the monsters. She was so hungry that she didn't notice what was happening behind her. She didn't know who gave her a push, but she lost her balance and fell straight into the monster area. Aimi reacted quickly and avoided close contact with the monsters, but she was surrounded by a group of small monsters. She looked up at the place where she was just standing. The woman who stole her food was smiling proudly. Aimi clenched her fist. She shouldn't have let her go. Aimi, be careful. The girl kept shouting at Aimi. Aimi didn't eat anything and her stamina was depleted quickly. These small monsters were everywhere, so she couldn't kill them all. She avoided the small monsters in front of her, and the back was exposed. Aimi had a deep scratch on her back. Aimi was exhausted. She felt like she was going to be drowned by these small monsters. Am I going to die like this? No. I can't accept this. Aimi's desire to live exploded. Her stamina that was almost at its limit recovered a little. Bang. Ah! A scream came from the front. Aimi heard someone call Yuxia's name. She quickly glanced over. The girl stepped on a sword and flew over. Her hair was tied up and she looked clean and cheerful. She was still the arrogant and confident Yuxia. Chapter 865. Yuxia, it's Yuxia. She's Yuxia. She's so small. What was that explosion just now? That monster was blown to smithereens. The people below huddled together and looked at the person in the sky who was gradually approaching. They didn't know what she was doing here. Shisheng blew up the monster purely because of a slip of the hand. She wanted to blow up the female lead, but who knew that the monster would suddenly jump towards her and deflect the energy ball? This was luck. One monster was blown to smithereens, but there was still another. The people below breathed a sigh of relief and were immediately attacked by another monster. There was also a pervert flying in the sky who wanted to do something. Why did they feel like their necks were hanging? Aimi managed to save herself with her last burst of willpower. Shisheng drove the sword over and prepared to blow up the female lead again. The female lead went missing on a monthly basis. I'm very anxious to find her. Whoosh! Something cut through the air, and a panic-inducing sense of oppression rolled over from the side. The iron sword sensed danger and quickly rose into the air without Shisheng's command. A missile swept over from below. A missile! That's right, it was a missile. Asterisk flips table asterisk. Where did a missile come from in this world? Director, there's someone here who's messing around. What made Shisheng even more surprised was that it was not only a missile, but also a homing missile. He didn't know how it worked, but it was chasing her. Shisheng was chased by the missile in the sky. His hair stood on end. Finally, he jumped down from the iron sword, grabbed the iron sword and swung it. The sword's aura split the air and collided with the missile. There was no earth-shattering explosion. Shisheng only heard a moderate bang. The bomb exploded, and the banner hung down directly from the tail. The blood-red words almost blinded Shisheng's eyes. Shisheng, you idiot. Shisheng, you idiot. Idiot, not bad, Mubai. Shisheng steadied himself, stepped on the iron sword, and rose into the air. He pulled down the banner, and the missile that was still in the air was pulled down by Shisheng. It crashed into the group of monsters and exploded with a bang. The airflow almost threw Shisheng off the iron sword. Shisheng. This idiot. So with a series of sounds, countless missiles flew in from all directions, and banners dropped down one by one. The words Shisheng, you retard, were swaying in the wind. The people below looked at the strange scene in the sky and were all speechless. What was going on? Who was Shisheng? Shisheng gritted his teeth. That idiot Mubai was definitely nearby. But where? Shisheng quickly looked around. This place should have been a business district before it turned into ruins. The buildings here were not very tall. In order to control these things, Mubai had to be on high ground. Shisheng fixed his gaze on a certain spot. She weaved her way through the missiles, and as she moved, so did the missiles. So the scene was, a girl was flying in front on a sword, and behind her were missiles with banners hanging on them. From afar, one would think that she was here to cause trouble. Everyone. What was going on? She left just like that? Shisheng flew directly to the top of the building, but there was no one there. There was a banner in the middle of the building. The banner read, "Shisheng, you retard." Shisheng stared at the top of the building for a while, and then he took out a few energy balls and threw them down. One energy ball was not enough to blow up such a big building, but a few of them would make the building disappear in the blink of an eye. That was obviously a trap. She was not that stupid. She had a death wish last time. There were many high-rise buildings around here, and that building was the tallest one. After it was blown up, the building behind it was exposed. Shisheng saw someone standing at the top of the building from afar. But that figure was not a man. Had Mubai become a woman this time? Shisheng hesitated for a moment, then stepped on the iron sword and walked over. He only saw who the woman was when he got closer. Shisheng frowned. The woman was none other than the woman who had run away last time, Zhong Qing. She was holding a tablet in her hand that should not have appeared in this world. Those missiles were obviously controlled by her. F***ck. Mubai, that retard, had learned to find someone to replace him. When Zhong Qing saw Shisheng, a trace of madness appeared on her face. "You xia, go to hell." Her fingers quickly tapped on the screen, and the missiles in the distance quickly flew toward Shisheng. The densely packed missiles gathered around Shisheng. Zhong Qing pressed the red button on the tablet, and in that instant, the missiles exploded at the same time. The world trembled. A mushroom cloud rose into the sky. Zhong Qing's palms were sweaty. After the explosion, she leaned against the railing beside her, and her eyes were fixed on the slowly surging mushroom cloud. There were also explosives buried below where she was just now. Otherwise, the explosion would not have been so powerful. She should be dead, right? She must be dead. Zhong Qing comforted herself in her heart. There were so many explosives, and she did not have an indestructible body. How could she not die? Did Mubai tell you what the consequences of offending me are? Zhong Qing's body suddenly stiffened. Her hands that were holding the railing trembled, and her veins were exposed. She slowly turned her head to look. The person who should have been faked to death was standing in the house behind her at this moment. Other than being in a sorry state, there was nothing unusual about her. There was even a smile on her face. That smile was very creepy, and it made people's hair stand on end. Her eyes were calm, and the mushroom cloud outside appeared a little gray, making her look even more strange. How did you not die? Shisheng pulled the corners of his mouth into a fake smile. How could it be so easy to make I die? But this time, she admitted that Mubai was quite impressive. He had schemed against her. The building from before was just a cover. Thinking that there was someone who understood him more and more, and was secretly scheming against him, Shisheng wanted to explode. Shisheng raised his sword and slashed at Zhong Qing. Zhong Qing wanted to escape, but she had no principles other than jumping off the building. No matter what, she would die. The cold light in her eyes approached. Her limbs seemed to be frozen, and she could not move. The tablet in her hand fell to the ground. The screen went out, and spiderweb-like cracks covered the screen. Shisheng suddenly withdrew his sword and quickly rushed to the other side. He turned over and jumped down. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared from Zhong Qing's sight. Zhong Qing stood there stiffly. She did not understand why Shisheng suddenly ran away. But Shisheng's departure, did it mean that her life was saved? However, in the next second, she fell into a white light in front of her. Shisheng looked at the half of the building that had been blown up and rubbed the space between his eyebrows tiredly. Mubai, this idiot, was so scheming. He had actually planted explosives in the tablet. If he knew that she was not dead, he would definitely kill Zhong Qing. And the chances of the tablet being chopped or falling was 50%. Thinking about the explosion just now, Shisheng's ears were still buzzing. His internal organs felt as if they had been displaced. It was very uncomfortable. Asterisk, please vote. Please vote. Chapter 866. Mubai had learned his lesson in the previous worlds. He wouldn't show up in person so easily. Even now he had to ask I to find him. How arrogant of him. Shisheng returned to the place where the group of people had been. Apart from some bloodstains on the ground, there was no one there. Did they run away? He walked around but didn't see anyone. Shisheng gave up looking. Sister Yuxia, you're back. Shisheng returned to his temporary residence. Miao Miao came out to greet him and said quickly, Brother Fengchen is injured. You should go check on him. He has a healing card. He won't die. Why should I check on him? I'm going to rest. Shisheng walked around Miao Miao and left. Sister Yuxia. Miao Miao caught up to Shisheng. Shisheng turned around and stared at Miao Miao calmly. Miao Miao stopped and turned pale. She clutched at her clothes and watched Shisheng go upstairs. After a while, Miao Miao ran in another direction. After turning a corner, she saw the person lying on the ground. Brother Fengchen, are you okay? Miao Miao ran over. Sister Yuxia won't come. Fengchen's forehead was covered in cold sweat. He was trembling and his lips were unusually dark. Miao Miao looked at him helplessly, not knowing what to do. Fengchen was optimistic. Even if she came, it wouldn't be of much help. I'm fine, Fengchen said with difficulty. How can you be fine? You're dying. Miao Miao sounded like she was about to cry. I'll go beg Sister Yuxia. Miao Miao stood up. Fengchen wanted to pull her back, but he wasn't as fast as Miao Miao. He didn't even manage to touch her clothes. Fengchen seemed to have predicted that the woman upstairs would be furious. If he was dying, it would be good enough if she didn't sacrifice herself. Why would she save him? Clearly, Fengchen had foresight. Shisheng ignored him. Miao Miao begged Shisheng for a long time before he finally looked at Fengchen. But he didn't do anything. I don't have a healing card. I'm not a doctor. How can I save him? Shisheng asked Miao Miao. Miao Miao was rendered speechless. In her heart, Shisheng was omnipotent, so she instinctively thought that Shisheng would have a solution. Miao Miao. Fengchen panted. She's right. I have a healing card. Even I can't save myself. What can she do? Miao Miao lowered its head, not daring to speak. Fengchen turned his head to look at Shisheng. The latter returned his gaze with a calm expression. Fengchen was injured because he met a strange creature when he went out today. He said it was strange because he didn't see what it looked like at all. Its speed was so fast that only afterimages could be seen with the naked eye. He was careless and was bitten on the leg by it. He discovered that it was poisonous. At first, he thought that he would be fine with the healing card, but he found that the healing card was completely useless as the wound could not heal. Fengchen became weaker and weaker in the latter half of the night. He gritted his teeth and did not make a sound. The wound felt like there were countless worms crawling and gnawing on it. Miao Miao stayed by his side, biting its lip as it wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. Miao Miao. Brother Fengchen? If I die, you can keep my card. He did not want to let that woman take advantage of him. Miao Miao shook its head. No, Brother Fengchen, you'll be fine. Fengchen's mouth twitched. See, it was right to give Miao Miao the card. At least she could still care about him. The last moments of his life in this world were not so bad. Ah! Shisheng heard Miao Miao's scream in the latter half of the night. He rolled over and went downstairs. Miao Miao was half kneeling on the ground. Fengchen shielded her behind him. Shisheng quickly looked around. What's wrong? Something. Fengchen's body swayed as if he was about to fall. The thing that bit me is following me. Shisheng walked toward Miao Miao. She was holding her leg with one hand, her face scrunched up in pain. You were bitten? Shisheng helped her up and let her sit beside him. Let me see. Shisheng pulled Miao Miao's hand away and rolled up her pants. There was an obvious bite mark on her leg. It was the bite mark of a human. Shisheng frowned. What was this? Shisheng looked around the area but didn't see anything strange. Shisheng helped Miao Miao treat her wound first. She could not use any of the things she had on her, so she could only exchange for a bottle of delayed poison from the system. Just as Shisheng was about to move Meow Meow to another place, a voice came from downstairs. There's a place to rest up ahead. Go in. You guys hurry up. Someone came up the stairs. Seeing the light, the person in front was stunned. There's someone here, he shouted after a while. Soon a few more people came up. Yuxia. It's Yuxia. Go get the boss. Someone recognized Shisheng and urged the people around him to go get Yuxia. Boss was escorted up by a group of people. Shisheng found this person rather familiar. He was one of the people who had been with the FL this afternoon. The female lead must be here too. Flip's table. How did she come to I? Yuxia? The boss did not see her clearly during the day, but her clothes looked the same, so he asked with uncertainty. What? The boss was shocked. It was really her. He waved his hand and asked the others to leave. Then he smiled and said, Miss you, I'm sorry to disturb you. Can you let us rest here? This was Yuxia. He did not dare to offend her. I didn't buy the land. You can do whatever you want. But don't come in here. The boss did not expect Shisheng to be so easy to talk to. He quickly said, Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Miss Yu. He led them downstairs and asked them to go upstairs. But the news had spread that Shisheng was upstairs. Aimi sat in the corner, looking very bad. Hearing people talking about Yuxia, her face became even worse. Why did she run into her everywhere? Aimi, go and apologize to the boss. He loves you so much. He won't be angry with you. I didn't do anything wrong. Why should I apologize? Aimi was stubborn, especially when it was not her fault. The girl who persuaded her said worriedly, But the boss will be angry if you do this. If you apologize, he won't argue with you. After they escaped to a safe place, Aimi killed the person who pushed her woman in front of the boss. This was undoubtedly challenging the boss's authority. He was angry not because the woman was gone, but because Aimi did not put him in her eyes. Aimi, listen to me. We need to rely on the boss now. It's not good to have a bad relationship with him. The girl tried to persuade her. I'm not going. She had a healing card. Even if the man was angry, he would not do anything to her. She did not need to be by his side. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.